Hey kids, for those in the audience that this applies to, we hope you've been enjoying the beginning of your lifetime subscription to Disney+. Since Rob and Zack don't have access to streaming services while we're deep within the Cinemoddities restaurant, we have a call to action regarding one of our favorite films, Pixel Perfect. To show Disney that humanity truly loves Pixel Perfect, let it play on loop when you aren't watching something else on Disney+. Hell, Rob doesn't even recommend watching anything else on there, so just keep bumping the Zeta Bites and Loretta Modern. And don't forget, there's Huckapoo too.
Cinemoddities, late night movies with Rob and Zack. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off-kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally, these projects gel. Most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Zack.
And I'm mildly annoyed. Let me rant at you. Not at you, Zack. Put the spritz bottle away. Let me rant for a second right here.
Uh-oh.
Danielle, cut the shit. Danielle, what the hell is wrong with you? Snap out of it. We didn't take you to fucking Disneyland to daydream about an attraction you are literally standing in front of. Go into the fucking attraction, Danielle. You stupid bitch. Cut the shit. I am incensed by Danielle in this film that we are discussing, or I guess VHS tape we're discussing today. Oh, God, Danielle, God damn it. Can we start there, Zack? Is that okay?
Danielle, just yelling at Danielle?
Just yeah. Let's just both randomly yell at Danielle because she's standing out front of the haunted mansion or whatever, and she's daydreaming about what's going to happen when she goes inside. Just go inside. You had all your fucking childhood to daydream about what Disneyland is like. Now just go. You're there. And that even happens after she daydreams. We get a song. The other little kid is like, Danielle, you stupid bitch, come on. We have to get in line. I'm so angry at Danielle. Like Danielle is. She's one of the people that if I took my 30,000 kids to Disneyland, she's one of the ones I would leave behind. Like, come on, Danielle. You're foolish.
You feel...
I would leave them all behind.
That's a very expensive place to leave your children, Rob. You just leave them like in a field somewhere. I wouldn't spend like $100 a person just to leave a child. It's pretty easy to figure out who you are too there.
Well, last time I left my children in a field, they came back and said they killed a witch. And they had her head. so I'm not taking any chances. They're going to Disneyland where they're going to get put to work. But yes, Danielle, that'll come up again as I'm sure we go through every frame of this 29-minute thing that we're watching today. Which is, of course, I don't know how much, what the title of this is going to be at the time of this recording, but we are discussing Disney Sing-Along Songs Disneyland Fun in HD. It is one of
amazing.
It is amazing. I won't get you wrong, but I think Zack and I find it amazing for different reasons. I think it's amazing because it came off very strongly to me as a wartime propaganda film. So I think we'll have to get into that because many songs I was like, what is it? I was like, they're like, follow the leader, do what the ruler says, Nuremberg trials. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Okay, I want it in my notes for this because, folks, this is one of the very few times I took copious notes. I wrote for the follow the leader song, fascism song, question mark?
Yes. Yeah, and before that, we even get Step in Time, where they're like, everybody fall into rank. The beginning of the Making Memories song starts with the lyrics, now we shoot whatever we see. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
A lot of subliminal stuff in this, folks. A lot.
Yes. Wartime undertones, heavily. Maybe not undertones. They were just there, I think.
I'd say subliminal messaging.
Okay.
Like a lot. Well, again, context time, folks. I chose this because the whole point of this sub-series of December Plus is doing Disney projects that aren't on Disney Plus, despite the fact that they sell the service as it's everything that Disney has. That's a lie. It's not everything that Disney has. But this is available on YouTube from numerous people. So one of the things when it comes to like I try to do on Cinemoddities, Rob's motto is let's get as obscure as humanly possible. But I like finding things that are at least accessible to you, the audience. So if you don't want to spend money renting it or finding it in some sort of illegal manner, you can at least watch it and you have no guilt or fear of legal reprisal. So again, like we said earlier, this is available on YouTube if you want to watch it beforehand of listening or before listening or during or after or all of the above, which is my preference.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. So no, my context with this is actually rather simple. Is that this was released as obviously a videotape in the 90s. I think it was officially released in 1990. I wasn't born then, but I know a few years after I was born, I got this. I don't know when. I don't have the memory specifically, but I know I have it, and I've watched this thing religiously back during the time. This was like one of my favorite videotapes growing up. I always loved putting this in. The specific reasons we'll get in later, but I always adored this videotape. And as time went on later and later, I'd always find it on YouTube. It's one of those things that Disney has never policed. It's always been available on YouTube ever since like the mid 2000s. They just don't, I guess at that point, everything in this was so outdated. They just really didn't care.
Okay.
But ever since then, I'd say at least once a year, I'll like delve into this.
Right on.
And that's kind of the only other extent of this I remember is when I was growing up, I was very jealous because I guess because I liked this so much, my parents got my nephew when he was like 4 at the time, a copy of this, but he got like a collector's set of it where it came with the videotape and it came with a Mickey Mouse toothbrush that like sang along with you.
Oh,
and
God.
I was so jealous. I was like, I can still remember like seeing it like in his bathroom and being like, that should have been mine. I wanted a Mickey Mouse toothbrush.
When you say it sang along with you, was it one of those ones that would like, oh God, what are they? It was called like Tooth Tunes or something. It was like you would be able to hear the music. Oh, okay.
This was like, I would say, because this is when he lived in his first house. So this was like before 2002. Like I'd say this was probably like 1999 or maybe it was around then. So this was like, it was one of those ones where like it was like a toothbrush for like a toddler, and then it had like a Mickey Mouse head like at the end of the handle, and you pushed a button in and it went like, I don't know, it sang some song. Probably the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I don't know. So I don't even think it sang. I think it more chimed than sang at you. It was like a boop, 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 boop. And that was the extent of it. But it was just the whole idea like
early version of chiptune and 8-bit video game stuff. Like,
oh yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. Like, spot on, actually. Yeah, I can still remember that though. To this day, I can still remember seeing it in his bathroom like 20 years later, and it's like jealousy intensifies. I actually went looking online to see if I could find like the box set somewhere, even just a picture of it, and I couldn't find it. So,
ooh,
collector's item.
Yeah, if you all those toothbrushes that you pass, the used toothbrushes you pass by at the thrift store, pick them up. It might be a Disney one.
And hopefully, it still sings at you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think, to be fair, I didn't try doing any research context on this. I know, like I say, every episode I go look on like YouTube or podcasting stuff to see if anybody's talked about this, because I haven't, because on one of the very few instances, I don't care what anybody has to say about this.
Sure.
Because this thing is so, I think it's blatant in it's so blatant in its intent.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where you watch it just to kind of marvel at just the sheer commercial brashness of it all.
Yep. One of my notes actually was this 30-minute advertisement for Disneyland is grating on me.
Because when I was younger and I would watch this, my father would remark to me, you're watching an infomercial, right?
Yeah.
And my immediate response to that was, Daddy, what's an infomercial? And my father would say, he'd say it's essentially a commercial that's really long. Yeah. And I'd be oh, and I continue to watch it to this day.
At that point, Zach realized he might like infomercials.
At this point, Zach realized that he is a stooge for the Walt Disney Company, and no matter how hard he tries, he will always be a slave to the mouse.
Just set it and forget it.
It is. Like, that's like, I watched this, and this video did its job. It brainwashed me. It did. Like I finally now, because we'll get into it more later, like toward the end of the video, but like I watched this and I kind of like, especially toward the end with the When You Wish Upon a Star, which is one of my like all-time favorite Disney songs. Mm-hmm. And like I kind of look at this entire video, and I know a lot of people complain about the direction Disney has gone in. And we talked about it a little bit last week. And it's like, oh, like, and people like defend what's happening now at the company, being like, Walt was just this commercial back in the day. And it's like, yeah, Walt wanted to make money. Nobody denies that. But I think the thing is that nowadays the commercialism and consumerism aspect of like Disney is so like superficial and blatant. Yeah. Like there's no hiding it. Like where you watch this or you give this to like again, with me, you give this to like a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old becomes enamored with the magic of Disney watching this.
Yep.
You look at what Disney's doing now, and it's literally punching you in the face with, buy our product, buy our product, buy our product. And there's no subtlety to any of it. Mm-hmm. And that's shocking considering just how on the surface this is back in 1990.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the tragedy of Disney. Like, yes, they're making more money now than they ever have in the history of the company, but they've gotten to that point at the cost of their soul.
Sure.
It's sad when a corporation it's kind of almost impossible on a theoretical level to even think about it, but can a corporation sell out? In the instance of the current iteration of the Walt Disney Company, yes, and they've been doing so for over 10 years.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because even like when I was watching this, and I clearly understood that it was, like Zach said, an infomercial type of thing. I didn't have that big of a problem with it. You know, it's not long, 30 minutes. It has decent music that most of them I was familiar with the songs. The big Disney hits, I guess. It has characters, like you said, for kids, it would enamor them in the magic of this world and all this stuff. But you're right, that comparison to what Disney's doing today, it's almost night and day. And yeah, did they sell out? They lost their soul. They've just become the marketing machine that they are.
Yeah, because I was going to say this more toward the end, but I guess now I'll get it off my chest and we'll delve into this like on a scene-by-scene breakdown. But like...
Frame by frame.
He thinks he's joking, folks. He thinks he's joking.
Pixel by pixel.
Damn, pixel perfect. No, because like as I was watching this, and I know I am inherently biased because of just the sheer nostalgia I have for just like this specific video and Disney in general. I know I've said it numerous times that like when I lived in Florida, I don't want to say I lived at those theme parks, but I spent more time there in my childhood than probably most people. Well, back in the day, most people would spend there in their lifetimes, because it's not like nowadays. Now there's like people like who live in Orlando and the surrounding area, just literally every single chance they get are in those parks. Mm-hmm. So you've kind of people have devalued them just by being there all the time. But back like prior to the age of social media, so let's just say 2007 or so, it was a rare thing to go to Disney. It really was.
When I was younger, I had my dad's mom's mom lived in a retirement home in Florida, and we went to visit her once, and we went to Disneyland. That's the one in Florida, right? Disneyland? Zach will answer me. I'm just gonna. Okay, yeah, sure. And I was very little. I don't remember much about it. I remember more of years later when I was in like high school. My dad converted all of his old cassette home video stuff to discs, and we kind of watched all of those old things. I remember that more than I remember the actual trip I had to Disneyland. But no, I see what you're saying, that it was almost something, especially for me growing up in New York, it was almost like a huge momentous event that you'd have to go to this amusement park, where now I feel like people talk about it where it's like, yeah, I just did it. I got the yearly pass from my family, blah, blah, blah. We go down and it's like a timeshare or something. I'm like, oh, okay.
Exactly. that's exactly what it is. It no longer has that uniqueness to it. Like it's
Yeah.
it's so, and I'm not sure maybe if I don't think homogenized is the right word, but it's the notion that like it's no longer this unique thing. Like the idea of taking a trip and going down there, and I guess part of it too is like prior to social media, if you wanted Disney information, you kind of had to like, because there was very rarely books written on the topic. It was rather a niche thing unless you were down there. Unless you bought like a souvenir book,
Yeah.
you really weren't privy to what was going on down there. And for no other reason than just there wasn't that sort of market for it. But because of people in my generation, much like I said last week, there is a huge community now that just eats up all this stuff. Because I remember back when I was in high school and when I discovered the Extinct Attractions Club, which was kind of like, I don't want to say the first instance, but it really was. And primitive is not a fair word. When I say primitive, I don't mean it like in a sense of quality. I mean primitive, kind of like more like a breakthrough. It was essentially what Defunct Land was. It was the first like thing to ever try to go in and analyze these theme park attractions years after the fact.
Okay.
And I remember when I discovered this back like in 2006. It like blew my mind because like to this day, like I treasure those DVDs despite the fact that they're all on YouTube in some capacity, because they really were this insight into this world that just was like, oh my God, like there's more to this than just like looking at these like rides from a distance. Because I don't think I've ever gone into the story on here before. But again, when I lived in Florida, I guess I did kind of. When I lived in Florida, we would go there periodically. The joke was with my parents. Well, and for the record, the video is Disneyland, which is California. I lived in Newport Richey, Florida, which is roughly 2 hours from Orlando. It's west of there on the west coast of Florida. And my parents went to Disney World more times before I was born than afterwards. And that was always the joke, was that like by the time I was born, they did not care about Disney anymore, because it kind of, not that it fell on his shoulders because it wasn't that sort of reason, but it was my nephew and my brother and his wife are the ones that they had the 4 annual passes, and they would, for the most part, bring me along during like the early 2000s. And that's kind of when I really like latched on to Disney in any sort of way. Because prior to that, like I know a couple of times I went there when I was like really small, like 3 or 4 with my parents and on my mother's side, her parents. But I remember in like my kind of, I want to say the bane of my Disney theme park fandom was, I can still remember this. It was a trip we took in 1998. It was my parents, my nephew, my brother, and his wife. And we went to the Magic Kingdom. And I can remember being this spectacular thing, like really like being hyped for it the entire day. And we went there. I remember seeing this like watery lagoon in the back of the Magic Kingdom. And it was empty. Like you could tell something was supposed to be there, but it was defunct. And I'm like, I can still remember, like, I can still imagine it in my head. I know seeing it being like, what was here? And someone's like, oh, there used to be a ride here. And ever since then, I was enamored with that as a thing. It's like, and over time, I eventually discovered it was a ride called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Ooh. And it just blew my mind that it was, because they had the Disney version of the Nautilus. And by today's standards, it would be considered very antiquated. But back in the day, and then researching this in the mid-2000s, it blew my mind. And for years, I would always just be utterly fascinated with the concept of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride. To this day, I don't forgive my mother, because in 2003, I actually won tickets to Disney, to go to Disney for a Star Wars Weekends contest. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it on here. I might not have ever even mentioned it on the Star Wars podcast. I entered this contest and I came in second, and I got 4 tickets to Disney, and I actually got to fight Darth Vader. Did I ever mention that? Maybe.
It sounds vaguely familiar to me, but vague enough that it might have been before we were ever podcasting together. So I don't know.
Fair enough. But anyway, enough of that though. The point of this whole story being is that there's a segment in the Disneyland Fun video where they show the yellow submarine. And that was my first instance of what the 20,000 Leagues are. Because it's a different ride, but it was the same technology. And when I was growing up, I loved the Zip-a-dee-doo-dah part. Not
Okay.
just for the yellow submarine sequence, because that was the submarine voyage at Disneyland, but it was also for the Star Tour sequence and for the Skyway sequence, which was another defunct attraction at Disney.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember my father talking like all the time about the Skyway. He's like, "Oh, when you were younger, you loved the Skyway." And I'm like, "I went on it." And he's like, "Yeah, but you probably have no memory of it because you were just so small." And that's why I love this too, was because back in like the early 90s, if you were a kid and you wanted to know about like a defunct Disney ride, again, I think I've mentioned it before, my father was so paranoid about the internet. We really didn't get the internet until like the summer of 2000. And plus I didn't know what to type in, like type in Disney thing or like Disney submarines. Like what the hell is going to come up when you type in Disney submarines? And plus at like 7 years old, you don't have that sort of mindset yet. Especially with the internet being such a brand new thing. So, like, if you're a kid that wanted to know more about this stuff, this was the holy grail.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this tape resonated with me so much, was that it gave me a portal into a world that I wanted to know so much about.
Okay.
I never had any way of getting into it outside of the handful of times I went to the parks. And like I said, the parks don't do anything to highlight what came before. Like if you know where, like I know back in the day for the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride, like when they eventually demolished that, they put a Pooh's Playful Spot over it. And I know somewhere like on the like Winnie the Pooh tree, there was like a little notch in like the faux wood that was like in the shape of the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues. But like, unless you know where to look for that, you're not going to know. Like unless you know like the plot of land, you're not going to know where to look.
Sure.
And that was kind of the thing that made this so magical beyond just the, like, I think that's what I'm getting at with this tape, was that, like, I never, like, I don't get me wrong, I love the songs. I love everything about this. But when I was younger, it was that aspect of it, the aspect of, gaining a portal into the world of Disney that I was never able to have.
Okay.
That's why this resonated with me back in the day. And then over time, it's become infinitely more nostalgic for those reasons. But it's also because I think this videotape is an insane amount of fun. This video, even though it's like crash consumerism at its worst, or like during like the 90s videotape boom of like, let's just put a video, like creating a videotape like this was like a license to print money.
Yeah.
I still think it's immensely fun. It's a fun thing. Like it's a fun thing to watch.
I would have to agree with you there. It's fun. I was definitely kind of tuning into more of, what was going on in like the finer details, like during the Main Street song, whoever is in the mini costume clearly did not know all the steps of the dance. And that's like hilarious to me. Danielle, of course, screaming at Danielle. I'm with you. I'm actually surprised by how much I kind of had a good time watching this.
Yeah, because that's the thing about this, that like 29 minutes long, none of the musical numbers last more than 2 minutes?
Oh yeah, they're all fast paced. Like I remember at one point I was watching it and we get to like the 4th or 5th musical number and I checked the time and it's like 11 minutes in and I'm like, holy shit, like they're jamming a lot in here.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing. Like if you make these last all like 3 or 4 minutes a piece, you'll start to feel the weight.
Definitely.
But like the numbers are just barely getting started. It's like, okay, moving on.
Yeah,
I think works to its
good
advantage.
pace. Yeah, definitely. Keeps a good pace, keeps you intrigued, and all the little cutaways and stuff during the song they're all good fun. Showing off the world of Disney, and I love when there's Minnie is like setting up an entire display of Mickey plushes, like hundreds of Mickey plush dolls. And then a few minutes later, Donald Duck just fucking wrecks it to put like 3 Donald Duck plushes there. And I'm like, that's great. That's a great little, gag in the background of this.
Exactly. And that's what I mean, folks. That like crass consumerism has never been more sweet than this.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what makes this kind of like one of those things where it still has value almost 30 years later. Because most of the things featured in this don't exist anymore, and the few that do not exist in the same state as presented in this video.
Okay. Interesting
Interesting indeed.
And one thing I do want to say that I do have I have two bones to pick. Danielle, here's her own thing. I don't blame Disney on Danielle's foolishness. But I was bothered by the fact that when it starts, there's that little Professor Owl dude who's like, everybody, we're going to sing along. Yeah, and I thought that was a fine intro, good old 2D animation. But as they're going through that opening number, explaining the video, they say oh, I don't know what if you don't know the words? Well, you should follow the bouncing ball over the lyrics. Sing along, one and all, follow the bouncing ball. And for the first 4 songs, there's no bouncing ball. The words just change colors. And I'm like, and I had to pause it and go back because I was like, wait, didn't they promise me a bouncing ball? And they did. And it takes until the Winnie the Pooh song when it's a bouncing honey pot type of thing.
Mm-hmm. But there's parts too, where they'll be singing and the words will just disappear too.
Yeah,
There'll be no
I thought
words.
That was very strange. But just another thing that I was like, oh God, this is just thrown together to make some money to advertise, and it does its job. But it has those problems, like no bouncing ball after they promised me a bouncing ball. Minnie doesn't know her number, her dance, or choreography in Main Street. It's great. It checks all the boxes of, I guess, what I would want from a Disney sing-along video.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the, again, it's the crass consumerism of it all. It's it's not meant to be dissected in what we're going to do. Like when they made this in 1990, it was a cynical cash grab. Done. As long as the check clears, we don't care what anybody has to say about it.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say about this, though, just people on the internet, is now that Disney Plus is launched, people online were like, we should start a petition to get Disney sing-along songs on Disney Plus. And I'm like, what? Why? It's available on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Why do you want something that's available for free, taken offline, and then put on a paid streaming service?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get that. Do you get that, Rob?
No, because I'm thinking all the TVs today, the TV I have, all my friends' TVs that I see, I would imagine almost all the ones you can buy on the market, they have that dashboard where you got all your streaming stuff right there. And I know I don't have Disney Plus, but when Disney Plus released, I turned on my TV that day and it was like, you can get Disney Plus now, and a little thing showed up for it. So why would you want everything on Disney Plus when it's literally 3 buttons to get to YouTube? It's the same thing. If it's all on your TV, what does it matter if it's on different streaming services? And you're absolutely right, too, about the fact of why would you want to put it behind a paywall?
Yep. That's such a weird thing. Even I know when it comes to Star Wars, Clone Wars, the 2003 series, people are like, we should have that on Disney Plus too. And it's it's been on YouTube for years and in better quality than it's ever been officially released because someone's actually gone through and cleaned it up. Okay. And I'm like, why? I'm like, are people just that stupid?
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
I really don't. It's like what? It's
maybe there's some weird mentality that streaming services put you into. Especially, I know I've told it on here before, but when I was an undergrad and I was trying to collect files and fill up hard drives, there were so many people that looked at me and they were like, "Why are you doing this? This is stupid. This is a waste. It's on Netflix." And I'm like, it's not going to be on Netflix forever. Companies come and go, things leave Netflix and they're like, no. And it's streaming services become part of their mentality and personality. And it's I'm an Amazon Prime person. I'm a Disney Plus person. And it's shut up. We're all watching the same things.
Yeah, I'll never, without getting too specific, and Rob knows my specifics on this, I'll never understand the appeal of streaming services. I don't get it.
Yeah, I want the files for everything. I know Zack wants cable so he can see commercials.
I love commercials, folks.
Yeah, I don't
commercials.
Get it. Yeah, that's the marketer in him. Yes.
I love commercials.
I don't know. I don't get it either. I know that people love that. It's so contradictory to me. We could probably do a whole episode on streaming services. Just the idea that I talk to people and then people are like, I love Netflix. Oh, Netflix is so great. And then they tell me stories where it's like, oh, I just spend 8 hours looking around for what to watch on Netflix. And I'm like, that doesn't sound fun.
Nope.
It's option paralysis. There's so many choices that people can't choose, but for some reason they think it's a good thing.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that, Rob. It's the options paralysis, because I think it's been done in studies that if the human brain has more than 11 choices at any given time, It literally shuts off.
Oh yeah. That's that. I have that problem on my hard drives. I got 4 hard drives full of stuff, and there are times where I'm like, I could watch literally anything because I also have Hulu and TV and stuff like that. But I don't know what to watch.
Rob has cable and satellite.
I got it all. I mean, I it all.
I'll have to bleep that word out.
All the cables that I harness from my neighbors.
Rob's like on like the power lines, like the the box like has like a giant like Ethernet cable just trying to shove it. Where does this go in?
You up in my cherry picker yet?
But sir, this is a power line. It doesn't work that way. Fit in here, wire.
You're telling me I need the male end, not the female end.
Too true. All right, so Rob, are you ready to delve into each of our musical numbers in Disneyland Fun?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's guide us through it, Zach. I'm sure you know all this by heart. You don't need the bouncing ball anymore.
Folks, I am rock hard. I'm definitely going to call the number after having an erection for over 4 hours tonight. All right, our first, I think I'm going to do two because I have an insane amount of restaurant snack ideas for this.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight what I want from like talking about the sequence. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk about what additions I want to have to the restaurant. And remember, I don't want all of these as additions. So I'm going to let Rob pick and choose which ones he thinks will work and which maybe are ideas that we could work with on a later time.
I like it. Big restaurant episode. I'm ready.
Oh yeah. This is Zach's like holy grail. As I was watching this like 15 times today, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many ideas. So many ideas. Like this is kind of like the stagecoach of restaurant ideas for the Cinemoddities restaurant. Just watch this and you have everything you could ever need.
Right on. Right. Okay, good. I like that because I didn't have too many snacks.
I have all the snacks. Okay, Rob, you want to count how many snacks I have, Rob? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14,
I hope
15,
the
16,
page
17.
turn I heard shows up on the recording.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 snack ideas.
The snack master is back in full force.
I'm back in the saddle, folks. I am back in the saddle.
I have a few snack ideas, but I think they all fall under the category of we need some type of downer because this shit was too happy for me.
Never.
So
This is like
I'm glad you got some good snacks. Okay,
folks, this is like a drug to me. Like Rob's like, hey, like I'm at a music concert. I need to get high. I'm sitting in my room looking at all my action figures, and I'm like, I need to get high. And I put on Disneyland Fun, and I'm like, I could sit there like jump through a brick wall. I'm not joking, folks. At one point, like during Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, like my brain was releasing so many endorphins. I'm like, this should be illegal. Cartels don't got anything on this.
Zip, 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 zip.
Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. Zip-a-dee-doo-dah day. We'll get to that.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, the first one, the owl, like birdie, like introduction.
Yeah.
First, I love the owl. I think in the Cinemoddities restaurant, we need a cartoon person that kind of like has like on the monitors of the. I think we've mentioned there's TVs all throughout the Cinemoddities restaurant, and we need a cartoon spokesperson to kind of like be that like. I don't want to say edutainment, but kind of like elaborate on the procedures of the restaurant.
Oh, sure.
And I want to hire the blue owl with the glasses.
Okay. Does he have a name? I considered him Professor Owl, but
he has a name. He's because
okay.
he's in like I know there's a bunch of like Disney sing-along song series videos. I have a couple of them, but I know he has a name. But I think it is something like Professor Owl.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. If he shows up anywhere else, so he's established. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, he does exist. So I want to hire him for the restaurant.
Okay. I could get behind that. We're
all right.
When you say cartoon person and hiring him, we're talking about like an actual like a Roger Rabbit-esque type of thing. We're gonna have a 2D animated person in our owl in our restaurant.
Well, he's not in the restaurant. He's on the. Like, we're gonna hire him to do like all of his stuff is gonna be like on video screens. But we're gonna hire him. He exists in real. He exists in real life like Roger Rabbit, but he will not be like that in the restaurant because we're hiring him to do a job.
Okay. So we're. I like it. I like that idea. You're making me think of just we're gonna hire a real life 2D animated owl to film like our Dharma Station videos from Lost. Like we're just gonna sit him down and be like, okay, in this part of the restaurant, you have to hit this button every 108 minutes.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna hire him for that.
Okay.
But for people at home that are wondering after like an hour we're talking about this, what the hell is going on? The video is introduced by like a little owl that like talks about like what the entire series is about, and he's basically teaching a class full of birds. Mm-hmm. And at one point we have one of the greatest moments in my entire life. I know at one point when I have my children, they're going to be like, "Daddy, what was the best moment of your life?" And I'm going to be like, in the moment of the Disney sing-along song series, Disneyland Fun, when they're talking about singing along to the songs, and we have the dunce bird that goes, "What if I don't know all the words?"
Yes. Yeah, that was good.
That is probably one of my favorite moments in life.
Join right in, sing along with your favorite Disney song. Once you've heard every word, you'll want to sing along.
But I don't know all the songs.
We'll make sure you can't go wrong.
And to this day, or every time I show this to people, I always say, "You're that bird. That's the bird you are."
The dunce bird.
You are the dunce bird. I love him. I love the dunce bird. He's also in addition to the restaurant, because I think if we have, like, if you're trying to have somebody in the restaurant at Cinemoddities restaurant that doesn't understand something, we should have a dunce cap.
Yeah, I like that idea, and I also like seeing this in this this video, because how long has it been since anybody's seen a dunce cap? Like that's probably outlawed, like with dodgeball, right? That it's not good for kids to put dunce caps on them.
Did I ever tell you the time when I lived in Florida, my mother was a substitute teacher at the school I went to. She taught like the middle school kids like math, and obviously middle school kids being the most like the biggest smart asses of them all.
Yep.
There was one kid that would never stop like interrupting the class. So my mother legit made him a dunce cap, made him sit in the corner.
Nice. Right on.
And her joke is that if I did this today, I would be in jail right now.
Yeah, most likely.
But yes, it is a thing that exists, but it's I think considering that there is no such thing as discipline in schools anymore, as Rob knows and his mother knows, the children are literally allowed to do whatever they want. You cannot stop them at all.
Yeah, otherwise the parents will yell at the school.
And bring a lawsuit against the school, and then the teacher gets fired. That's the only way you get in trouble now as a teacher. You can do whatever you want as long as you don't tell the kids what to do.
Yeah.
Which is truly like the antithesis to what schooling is.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, so yes, we have a little introductory sequence where the little Mr. Owl, Professor Owl, lays out what the whole series of videos is about, and then we transition into our very, very first musical number, "Whistle While You Work."
Yep, and the propaganda turns up.
Turns up. It's dialed up to 11. It goes from like 0 to 60 in about like 2 seconds. And during this sequence, we have our entire, like what you think of your core Disney characters, Mickey and Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and they are sitting there. A couple other ones thrown in too, Roger Rabbit, Chip and Dale.
Is Pluto in the first one, or does he show up later?
I think he shows up. He might be. He's there. Too.
Yeah, I remember seeing Pluto later, but okay.
Yeah, he's there. And while they're there, we're seeing them kind of like Disneyland is closed. They're just about to open, and they are getting the park ready. Mm-hmm. And they're cleaning. They're kind of like washing windows, cleaning trash cans, getting all the food ready. And we get all sorts of just like, again, everything here is more or less a montage. And we see them all getting ready. But there are some things that some specifics I want to point out. The first one being when we're introduced to Chip and Dale, and I forget exactly, we see them pushing their brooms outside of like a queue line. And I love the camera movement because I think it's fair to say, Rob, I've analyzed movies, right? I think I've done that once or twice on Cinemoddities.
Yeah, a handful of times.
A handful. In the history of analyzing cinema and cinematic techniques, I've never seen a crass consumer shot before. Because if you look at this sequence, we like the scene starts, or the shot starts with Chip and Dale sweeping the ground, and the camera, like, and they're going from stage left to right, and as they're sweeping, the camera pans along with them, and then slowly, even though Chip and Dale are centered in the frame, the camera then starts to center above their heads as the camera slowly pans to make sure it focuses on the Star Tour sign.
Yes. Yep.
And when I saw that, I've seen that shot dozens upon dozens of times. Yet it finally dawned on me. This might be the most crass consumer shot in the history of the medium of film.
Yeah, I didn't think of it exactly that way, but it definitely stood out to me because I was like, it's right near the start, and it's just full frontal. Hey, the video saying to the audience, hey, get ready for advertisements. whether you like it or not, whether your brain notices it or not.
Like, and the thing is, like, most of this is advertising, but this is at its most blatant.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I love too that it doesn't just pan to Star Wars. You get all of it. You get from the creative forces of Disney and George Lucas.
Yep.
Sponsored by M&M's.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I love it. Love it because just again the crass consumerism of it all, but because you have a chocolatey candy snack person sponsoring a ride, which would not be allowed today because it would be deemed unhealthy in promoting bad, unhealthy habits to children.
Mm-hmm.
Another
from
aspect,
the creative forces of Disney and George Lucas, sponsored by NFL's Play 60.
No, Rob, ESPN 60 because synergy.
Oh, there you go.
Synergy. That's the thing
go.
now is that now it's not just crass consumerism with Disney anymore. It's crass synergistic corporate like ism. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only other thing I have to highlight before I get into restaurant items in this is I'm not sure if Rob loves voice acting. The voice actor of Thurl Ravenscroft, he has a rather unique like God face and just what he looks like. I swear we see him at numerous times in this special. Okay. And he's seen the first time in this segment.
Okay.
We see him in the park because if you look, I know it looks just like him. And considering that he is like one of the voices for like Country Bear Jamboree, and I think he's the voice for like one of the iterations of Grim Grinning Ghost.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think people would know him best as Tony the Tiger, but that's not Disney. So
and the Grinch.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I could swear it's him. It looks just like him, and it just I don't know.
Okay, I didn't catch that, but could be.
Sure. But anyway, going to some ideas for the restaurant, in this music montage, we see the Disneyland Railroad. And I think I want to say, I think Cinemoddities needs a train that goes around the entire perimeter of the restaurant.
Different from the Yam Tram?
Yes, different.
So people would actually be able to get in this train you're talking about, not just pick up yams?
Yes. It runs the entire perimeter of the restaurant, except the problem is that the train never makes it back to the station because we don't know where it ends. So all we're doing is dispatching trains.
Okay. Kind of like we're sending groups of researchers into the Shimmer. We just keep sending out trains and hope one comes back.
Essentially, we just keep like in all honesty, we see the track like on the other end, like where the trains depart. Like we figure the track's there; it should come back eventually. Just that none of them ever have.
Ooh, okay, I dig it.
So I figure I don't know what gauge yet. We'll have to decide what gauge. Do we want like a genuine like full size locomotive, or do we want something smaller? But we'll cross that bridge when we get there one day.
Yeah, sounds like a good way to. Or another premise for a good episode of Law and Order Cinemoddities. Someone goes missing on the train.
Except everybody goes missing on the train.
And then everybody goes missing, but the one train comes back, and it's with a person who says they were raped, and Mariska Hargitay comes in.
The rape train. All right, next thing. I figure, considering that the Cinemoddities restaurant is always in the red, I think I have another way for us to make some money. We see a shot in this of Minnie outside like a stroller depot where you can rent strollers for your kid. Considering that we'll probably have many children at the Cinemoddities restaurant, especially Cinemoddities, I think we should offer stroller rentals.
Oh, okay.
But
something to help you transport your children, right? That's the gist. Is you need an easy way to just. And hey, strollers with wheels, you don't even need to get to the entrance of the Cinemoddities portion. You just need to see it, and then you can push the stroller towards the entrance and just leave.
There you go.
Shuffleboard your kid.
But I don't want contemporary strollers. I want the exact same strollers they have in this, where it's literally just a plastic bucket with a giant piece of metal sticking out the back of it to push it. I figured we could get those wholesale because they're probably in a dumpster somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Not up to code in the slightest.
No, not at all. But they're cheap, as in free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's 100% a profitable venture. We cannot lose money on this. And the very next thing I want to do is I know, like Rob already mentioned it, we have Minnie setting up a bunch of Mickey plushes, and then Donald comes in later and just literally knocks them all down, and he puts on a couple of Donald Duck plushes. I think we need Rob and Zack plushes for the restaurant.
Oh, now that's interesting.
But what happens is that the Zack plush puts his up, then the Rob one comes by and knocks them all off and puts the Rob plushes there.
And this is just, we're constantly going back and forth with this.
It's a Zack and Rob plushie civil war in the restaurant amongst the walk around characters.
Oh, okay.
And
are
then,
they just plushes, or are they like nanny cams and recording devices too?
Well,
that the customers don't know about.
Well, Rob, come on. When you think of Cinemoddities, you think of voyeurism. I think I've said that a couple of times on here.
Privacy infringement. Yep.
There we go. No liability. But one thing I do want to add, again, the plushies, I don't know. That's up to you. I'll let you decide what is actually, whether they talk, but I think just some straight up plushies would do us good. Again, make some of our money back. And a souvenir for the guests for them to evangelize about it.
Yeah.
Or to jog their traumatic memories. Non-flash. That's you squeeze the belly of the Zack and Rob thing and it yells non-flashback, non-flashback.
That's good.
But my last thing that I pulled from the sequence is I want from Alice in Wonderland. Does the rabbit have a name?
Oh, probably. Fuck.
Okay,
we're gonna because he's in Kingdom Hearts.
We'll have the probably rabbit in the restaurant, and we'll have him go. I want him to go around to tables while people are eating and yell, I'm late for a very important date," and I want him doing that all the time.
Oh, the white rabbit. The white rabbit. Yeah, I should have known that.
Probably the white rabbit, and we're gonna have him going around to tables just yelling, "We're late! We're late! We're late for a very important date," all the time. He just goes around yelling that all the time.
So just like his appearance in the movie.
Exactly. No, but we have the walk around character. We have to see if we get the real walk around character.
Okay, I like that. And if people decide to follow him because they think that he's going to take them somewhere, they're just going to become like he's going to be the Pied Piper of customers. Eventually, we'll have like a chain of people just all going, "We're late. We're late for what? We don't know. We're late." And we're not late enough to stop picking up people, but we're late.
No, nobody pays attention to him because they're too busy on their phones.
Fair.
one of the very few bouts of realism in the Cinemoddities restaurant. Nobody pays attention to the giant rabbit yelling "We're late" because they're too busy on their phones.
Oh god, this just makes me think of the Jehovah's Witness joke where they knock on somebody's door and they're like, "Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior?" And the person's like, "Yeah, come in." And they're like, I've never gotten this far. And where if anybody followed the rabbit, he'd be like, "I don't know what to do next." No one's paid attention to me.
Exactly. All right. So unless you have anything else to say about this number, I'm willing to move. I want to move on to our next one, Step in Time.
I think I'm ready. Yeah, Step in Time. Oh, geez. Here we go.
Love this. I love this so much.
Buckle up, everybody. We're going to war.
Yeah. I love this so goddamn much. I should point out that when I was younger, and not a few times, but when we would go to the Magic Kingdom and we were walking down Main Street, I would always hum this.
Okay.
Step in time, step in time, step in time, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Bump, bump, bump. Oh, yeah. It was like, folks, the amount of impact this has had on me, it's disgusting. Like, it's genuinely disgusting how much this resonates with me. I'm kind of ashamed.
I want to frame this for the audience because I have it pulled up, and during this song, this is where the war propaganda idea comes from. There is just footage of people walking like in lines at Disneyland, and then in big letters at the bottom it just says "Step in Time." Like, it is some of the most 1984 horrific stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. I think somebody had a profound sense of humor for the late 80s when they were making this. But to be fair, and this is the part that I do want to pull from for the Cinemoddities restaurant, is to this day at Disney, it's called rope drop, where like the parks usually open, I'd say around I don't know specific. It depends on which one. They always are changing their hours, but it's like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and people will queue up and they call it rope drop, where they will literally have like a ribbon or something and they'll cut it and people go flooding into the park.
Oh, and okay. Like Black Friday, yeah.
Yeah, except it's a thing that happens daily at every single Disney park, and it's called rope drop. Because people I do follow people on Twitter that are part of the Disney Twitter community, and they'll become it is a genuine term in the lexicon of, so where do you go at rope drop?
Oh,
Because,
interesting.
like,
yeah, what's your
because
first
if you-
stop? Yeah.
What's your first stop? Because you can get on any ride immediately. So, like, usually a rope drop ride is like the most popular. So if you like do a rope drop at, I don't know, I'm just making this up, like Star Wars Land or Avatar Land, that's kind of like what you do. Or if it's like
Sure.
a ride you really love, that's kind of a term. So the idea of people like running like Black Friday is
Mhm.
not a unique thing to Disney. It's only gotten worse because now, like,
Okay.
it's actually part of the strategy of doing your Disney vacation. Because, like, I know, like, I've told Rob in private, like, when you sign up for those services that give you like the plan on what to hit on your
Mhm.
vacation, the rope drop is considered one of the biggest factors because you want to get as deep into the park as possible because that's
Yeah.
where then work your way forward.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's really the only thing I have to say about this. I think Rob, I think it's fantastic. I never saw it that way. The idea of the kind of like triumph of the will aspect of this.
Yeah.
I never looked at it this way, but now after he said that, I'll never look at it the same way again.
It's unreal. Like I'm skimming through some of this song, and
Yeah.
it's literally the words "step in time" just flash at the bottom of the screen as we see people walking. And then, as Zach said, the one of the other lyrics that isn't "step in time" is "never need a reason, never need a rhyme." This is propaganda to the max.
It is. I'm pretty sure, like, if you play like the Avengers Endgame trailer in reverse, you'll hear this.
there you go. Yeah, everybody, step in time. See this movie.
I'm pretty sure during the Rise of Skywalker trailers, if you play that in reverse, you'll hear "swipe your card to help defeat Emperor Palpatine."
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh god, but going to the Cinemoddities restaurant, I think we need a rope drop at the Cinemoddities restaurant. So when everybody's lined up, so we don't have people like flooding in, we have a rope drop.
So
And-
would this rope drop be before or after? Because remember, didn't we say a few weeks ago that we wanted our customers to travel? Well, yeah, remember I was getting at the idea of different
Sure.
gates. And so do we have the rope drop where, at the restaurant, like everybody takes the ferry or whatever to get to the drawbridge, and then that's where the rope drop is? Or is it like the rope drop, everybody thinks they're getting into the restaurant, but it's really the rope drop for the ferry to the restaurant?
No, Rob, you Disney novice, you have to get onto the transportation first.
Okay.
Then you camp outside the entrance to the park. So like if you're going to like the Magic Kingdom, the Magic Kingdom is the most egregious park to get into because the only way to get to it is by like monorail or ferry.
Okay.
There's no way to, there's maybe, there might be one way to walk to the Magic Kingdom, but it requires like staying at the Grand Floridian, which you're talking about is like close to $1,000. It's like $800. It's like $400 to $500 a night.
Sure. I thought you were going to say underground tunnels.
Kinda. There's an argument to be made for that. There's a thing at Magic Kingdom near the Contemporary Hotel, which is the one that the monorail goes right through, where to get to the Contemporary, the road goes under the lake.
Ooh.
And I have a picture somewhere of last time I was at the Disney Resort where my brother was like driving under it, and there's literally a boat overhead as you're driving under. Like it's a really cool visual.
Yeah.
So there isn't, it's not a tunnel. It is a tunnel, but it's not like an underway passage. It's not like what Rob was trying to get at. But it does exist, and it's a pretty neat architectural flourish or engineering design.
Yeah.
That's back when Disney still had an imagination, folks. It wasn't just simply swipe your credit card to help the Avengers defeat Thanos. So they actually put imagination into things. Not like today where it's just, as long as the check clears, we don't care what you think of our stupid parks.
Yeah.
So we need a rope drop for Cinemoddities. But it will come after the 45 minutes it takes to get there. All right.
Okay.
The next song is Main Street. What? Walking down the middle. Yeah, I'm walking down the middle of Main Street, USA.
Yep, and this is where my note finally came in. So much dancing.
So much dancing. It would make the 18s happy.
So this is the one song I would definitely recommend. Even if you don't want to watch 29 minutes of Disney songs and advertisements, watch this because it is so funny to see Minnie not know the choreography. And I have it on now, and she keeps fucking up the turns and stuff, and Roger Rabbit is next to her and keeps looking at her like, "What are you doing, bitch?"
Roger Rabbit is a fascinating aspect of it. Well, we'll get to him later on because he doesn't really come into focus until halfway through. But whoever does him is probably one of the more fascinating aspects of this.
Oh yeah, it was interesting to see. Yeah. Oh god, it's just Minnie has no clue what's going on.
But we
She's
should
having a
also
rough time.
we should highlight that Minnie doesn't show up until like halfway into the number.
Yeah, she shows up in the car or whatever, right? Someone
No,
drops her off.
she shows up, I think, with Mickey. Or maybe, oh yeah, wait. You're right, she is in the cart. Because Mickey has probably the greatest entrance in the history of media.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. So, okay, so really the only things I have to highlight this that aren't food related is that I love the idea of having certain character costumes, like the walk around Goofy and like Mickey characters,
Sure.
but they're specific because we have Bobby Goofy
Oh yeah.
and we have firefighter Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
I
love
definitely noticed that where I was kind of like, oh, we got our usual characters in these weird costumes. It was pretty neat.
So I want to have for the restaurant things like that. We have the walk around characters of Rob and Zack and like Nelson De La Rosa. But I want to have like firefighter Nelson De La Rosa and like Bobby Richard Stanley.
Oh my god, that would be so funny.
I want that. I
don't know if we should, even if it's not the real Richard Stanley, is it okay to give him like a nightstick? Is it okay to give Nelson De La Rosa any props at all?
I don't know. It's a fireman's hat and like a rain slicker, so that's all that matters. He'll be fine. He can't hurt anybody with those. But yeah, I love the idea of having walk around characters that are specifically themed to things.
Oh yeah, that is a neat idea for sure.
And going back, I love Mickey's entrance in this. Talk about that big dick energy, son. He comes in on like a tricycle piano.
Yes, that's right.
That is a baller ass move. Showing up to a musical dance number on Main Street on a tricycle piano.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's fantastic, folks. Like if you're anywhere in life and you show up on like a piano tricycle, everyone's like, every single girl's gonna be like, God damn it, I know I have to go home with him now tonight.
Yep.
Come on, like that's like there is no better hook than that.
I gotta get me one of those.
Everybody needs one of those, Rob. Everybody.
Oh jeez.
All right. So
I did want to highlight in the Main Street song. I was just trying to find it to give you a timestamp, but I couldn't in a short time. I should have written it down. In the background, of course, they're on Main Street. Disneyland Main Street. It looks like a main street. There's shops everywhere. In the background of one of these shots, one of the shops that we see is a tobacconist, a tobacco shop.
Yep.
What a time to be alive back in the 80s, right? When everybody was better off with a Camel in their mouths.
Well, that was to be fair. I don't think they ever sold cigarettes there. Or
Sure,
maybe they
yeah.
I think when the park opened they did, but I think that was there too. It was meant to be reminiscent of again Walt's hometown in the Marceline, Missouri. Again, that's why again Main Street USA isn't just there for the sake of like, oh, it's cute and like quaint. It's there to when Walt designed that, it was the idea of you're stepping back in time into his hometown.
Gotcha. Sure, yeah.
Again, everybody forgets now that like Disney does everything again. Everything's just for the make a buck. But back then there was like intent to these things. There was a thought process. It wasn't just like there because we like again, it's like this stuff they do for like Star Wars Land. It's like, oh, we have all this immersive detail. Well, why do you have it? Because we have to. We're Disney. But how does it feel the story? Well, because we're Disney and people expect that of us.
Yeah.
That's why I mean, like, it's just there because it has to be there. Before it had a purpose as to how all these things connected. And again, that's part of the thing going back to Disney nowadays, too, is that it's just, they have no soul. They're just doing it because, like Rob said, tradition. It's just there because we've always been doing it. Well, but shouldn't you connect it then? Well, why? Well, as long as we're doing it, isn't that all that matters? It's like, no. It's like, it's effort and futility then if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. But
yeah,
as long as the check clears,
indeed, that's all that matters now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We don't care as long as the check clears. We don't care if children are smoking cigarettes.
It should be pointed out that Cinemoddities is a loud, proud component of smoking.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Rob? We condone smoking.
Yeah, it's I think it's just a fact. I have a thing when people women smoke. It does something.
Hot.
So
it's hot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I think Zach's known. I have the longest joke ever is like when I've said it to so many people for years. Like when I was young and in school, They told me that smoking doesn't make you look cool, and that's the biggest lie I ever received from education. Smoking might not be good for you, but goddamn, it makes you look cool.
It's sexy. It's sexy, son.
And we're canceled.
Oh, dear. So getting back to walking down the middle of Main Street, I do want to point out that I think Rob knows where he used to live. I live. There is Main Street in Poughkeepsie.
Oh, yeah.
And when I volunteer at the food pantry, which is on Main Street, every time, like during the summers, I used to walk down to a Kmart. It doesn't exist anymore, so I don't do it that often anymore. But when I would always hum the song, I'm walking right down the middle, right down the middle. I'm walking right down the middle of Main Street, USA. And then I'd hear gunshots and I had to duck and cover.
yeah, exactly. I'm just imagining Zach like doing a good old stroll down the street,
I'm
singing
doing
this out loud.
I'm doing the mini. I am doing the horrible choreography. I'm embarrassing myself and I hear gunshots from a drive-by.
Yeah,
I'm like,
drug dealers on the corner are like, what's that dude selling? I need some of that. Nobody's happy in Poughkeepsie.
Exactly. Then like while the bullets are flying over my head, I'm still humming it. Yeah, it's glorious, folks. Absolutely glorious. And I do want to say, Rob, and this is not a demand for the restaurant, this is an idea, should we have a Main Street at the Cinemoddities restaurant? Should we have a corridor in the center?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. When you say center,
an artery, kind of like an artery of the park.
What is the center of an infinite void, honestly? I get what you're saying. I like this idea in the sense of maybe this is how we could 6 minutes 27 seconds into the YouTube video. You see the tobacconist in the background. I just found it. We should combine Main Street with our museum-esque wing where we have the artifacts and the busts. Like maybe there's like you walk down Main Street and you go into one storefront, and that's where you see the busts of our hollowed halls of directors or whoever actors, all that stuff. You go into another storefront, and that's where all the kind of the Chauncey puppet is and the artifacts that we've discussed. You go into one storefront, and it's just the Orson Welles Deadite because you can't put him near other stuff, I would imagine. It has a parental advisory warning on the front of it. So yeah, I like this. It's kind of like the attraction part of the restaurant rather than the eatery part of it.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
We have a tobacconist.
I do want motion. I think it's in the Whistle While You Work segment. We see Chip and Dale cleaning up a tobacco Indian. They're like polishing him.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Folks, that would not happen in a million years right now.
Yeah, I saw one of those in real life in downtown Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, and I was like, what? I was like, people haven't burnt this?
Exactly. Folks, you have a better chance of winning the lottery right now than finding a tobacco Indian at Disney. You have a better chance right now of winning the lottery.
100%, yep.
All right, so unless you have anything to say, Rob, I'm willing to move on to our next song, which is the fascism song, Follow the Leader.
Yes, this is so much propaganda, but finally, this is the first song, I believe, where we still don't get a bouncing ball, but we do get the duck feet.
Yes, you get Donald
help us with the lyrics. So the dunce bird can finally rejoice because if you're colorblind, you don't understand. You cannot follow the lyrics of the first 3 songs because they just change colors. This one, you actually have some help. And it makes sense because this is the one where I think they primed the pump. All the kids watching this, they know how to step in time. They know that they have to turn their brains off and make work go by quicker. So now what's left? They have to follow the leader. And this is, I think this is one of the Disney songs I've known, or at least I was somewhat familiar with. I didn't know all the lyrics, but there's stuff in here where it's like, we're going to follow the leader. We're going to be out till morning. We're not coming home until we finish our mission. And it's like, what the hell? Once again, it was hitting me over the head with like wartime propaganda.
Well, keep in mind, Rob, that back during the 30s and 40s, Disney did produce propaganda films for the war effort.
Yeah, I've definitely seen 1 or 2 of them. I think I've seen the one where Donald Duck punches Hitler or something like that.
I have one. I'm not sure if Rob's ever seen it. It's like Reason and Emotion.
Okay.
Where it explains like why like the Allies are better than the Axis powers, and you get
That might be the one I've seen. Yeah.
it doesn't involve any of the main characters. It's non-main characters, but it's great. Like it is fabulous.
That was
Like-
I think that is still a joke. Like in Kingdom Hearts 2, they did you had to go back in time, and so you basically went to Steamboat Willie World, and everything was in black and white, and it's one of my favorite things in video games ever. I thought it was so cool. But the big joke after that was like, okay, next Kingdom Hearts game, they're going to go back to Disney's wartime propaganda, and we're gonna like do that stuff, the Axis and Allies, and I thought that would have been great.
Oh my god, that's the stuff you know what, folks? That might hey, we might have an empty slot in December Plus now. What if we went back and did Disney like World War II propaganda?
That would fit, right? Because I can't imagine that's on Disney Plus.
No, we might have to do that now. That's a good idea. I hadn't even thought. I forgot about that. And there's some really entertaining things in there. Yeah, okay. We might have to do that, folks. We might have to do that. All right, but follow the leader. I don't think I've ever told Rob this joke before. Is that anytime I'm in a car with somebody and like whether they're backing out of like their driveway and they like hit a garbage can, like something that's not going to hurt the car, something like you bump into something kind of like innocent. I always turn around to people and be like, I'm pretty sure that's how the Titanic sank, you know, and like just to kind of rub it in on them. And so like over the years when I would show this to people, I would always make the comment after this song ended, I'm pretty sure that's how Hitler came to power.
Sure. Nice.
Beyond the blatant fascism aspects of this song, despite how hilarious it is,
They say we may bring back a million, a billion, or a zillion. Like, this isn't even wartime. This is like what the Vikings would sing to each other. We're going to kill all the monks and bring back all the gold. And it's like, oh my God.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is left over from like one of those things. Spoils of War song.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised, Rob.
I guess I should point out, I just saw it in the video. It reminded me. They're on the ship. They're on like the barge or whatever, like going through, and they're going to see the tigers and the hippos. Sure. I love that the dude shoots the animatronic hippo.
That's the next thing I was about to say.
Okay, I love that, and I also love that the ship they're on is called the Ganges Gal.
Yeah, that's not new. I think that's still around to this day.
Okay, sure.
Ganges
Gal made me think of Golden Girl. The Animal Collective repetitive song we covered. Because this song was also repetitive.
Yeah, that's nothing new. I think that's been around forever. Like it should be said that Jungle Cruise is one of the few rides like every Disney park that never that's like a Sacred Cow. That's a Haunted Mansion or a Pirates of the Caribbean. They will never get rid of those. That is they're not touching those.
Okay. So do they still shoot an animatronic hippo?
No. I think
hippos are super dangerous, so it can't be that. I mean, it is animal cruelty, but
I love the idea of being on a ride and giving a cast member a gun with a blank in it.
Yeah.
And probably even
was this before The Crow? So they could think that was still okay to do, right?
That's such a deep cut, folks. Like that's
Rob, a deep cut? The Crow?
I know it's
Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, dying is a deep cut. Really?
That's a deep cut, Rob. That's a deep cut reference on the Disneyland. Okay, Rob, look at what we're in right now. We're watching Disneyland Fun, and you're referencing Brandon Lee's death on the set of The Crow from the blanks in the gun incident. That is a deep cut in the context we're in, Rob.
This is award-winning commentary, right?
Yes, it is. You're not going to get this from any of those YouTube channels that have like 500,000 subscribers. Jenny Nicholson ain't got nothing on this, folks.
Oh, okay, fair. And I guess while we're on the topic, The Crow, of course, was directed by Alex Proyas, our favorite Gods of Egypt director.
Exactly. All right. So yes, I like the idea of somebody. I just love that. Like I know on the Jaws ride at Universal Studios, like the person that was like the skipper of the boat had like a grenade launcher or like a faux grenade launcher. It didn't shoot any smoke. It was just like you had to time it just right because like when they shoot the shark, they had to like it'd be like puffs of water or like air cannons that would shoot out of the water to replicate that or simulate it.
Yeah,
but I like the idea that I'm pretty sure in this you can actually see the smoke coming out of the barrel of the revolver.
Oh yeah, definitely. It looks like a full-on blank for sure.
Yeah, or if at the very least, it's a very little amount of gunpowder.
I don't know. With the tobacco shop, it might have been a real bullet. They were just playing it fast and loose back in the day.
All right. One thing I do want to point out that I think it's...
He shoots it twice. He shoots it twice.
I know he does.
Oh my God, that's great.
There's two other things I want to point out about the ride, Jungle Cruise. I love that we get a shot of the indigenous peoples like doing their little ritual dance.
So offensive. They're just moving in a circle.
Yes. And they're all, oh my God, that wouldn't be allowed today. That would not be allowed.
It definitely would not be allowed today. But this segment was interesting watching it because it kind of made me think of something that very much unlike Zack. Rob does not regularly think about Disney unless a Kingdom Hearts game is available. So when I was watching this, and especially in this segment where they're on the Ganges Gal, they're going through, they got animatronic elephants, hippos, tigers, blah, blah, blah. And then these people, these tribes. And it's like, wow, this is kind of like, it is neat. I will give it to you, Zack. It is interesting. Like Disneyland, you can't, not everybody can go to Africa and see these types of animals. Not everybody can travel the world. And this is kind of a spot where, even though it's fake and animatronic, you still are immersed in these different cultures. And that is pretty cool for the time and the existence of this, I guess. So I'll give you that.
There's a reason why Disneyland was this wild success, folks. There's a reason why that it succeeded well beyond anyone's dreams. It's because there was nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, it was like a trip around the world in one spot. It is very interesting in that aspect.
And we should point out that when Walt Disney originally pitched the Jungle Cruise, he wanted to use real life animals.
Ooh, okay. Make it the Disney Zoo, yeah.
A very primitive
Animal
Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom, yeah.
Yep. All right, the next thing I want to bring up, and I need Rob to go to a very specific time code, and I need him to watch a specific person in the crowd.
Okay, I'm ready.
I need you to go to 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Because prior to this, the following scene is the shot that you're looking at fades out, and we go to a guy in a yellow shirt with a blue backpack, and he's holding like one of those big VHS camcorders. And I need you to watch how he moves. I can't tell if he's a staged person in the crowd or if he's just like somebody who has impeccable understanding of camera movements. Because you watch.
Yeah.
Look at the way he moves.
Yeah, he turns towards the parade as it's coming, exactly as it comes, and then as soon as they get into frame, he ducks. So it's like he knows there's another camera behind him.
So my question is he the guy filming the footage? Because right after that shot of seeing him squat down, the shot cuts to literally the exact same angle he's filming from.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really seems like it.
So the $1 million question is, was this filmed on VHS tapes?
Yeah, I mean, that's cheap, right? Get a dude with a big camcorder like that and you're good.
If that is true, because the only thing that makes me think that maybe it's not staged is that if you go back, he's talking to the old man in the white and the blue hat, or in the white hat, prior to that.
Oh, yeah, he's probably saying, get the hell out of my way. I need to videotape this.
Yes. And I'm just fascinated by that. That's like one of those things where you watch and you're like, how much of this was like again, seeing the seams?
Yeah, okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I never would have picked up on that.
And I guess the last thing just to point out about this was that I know like they show, it says like Swiss Family Robinson like treehouse.
Yeah.
And you see them like on a rope bridge, like jumping up and down.
Yep.
That was, I'm not sure if it was Disneyland or Disney World, but that attraction in quotation marks was in the news recently because somebody was jumping up and down on it and it snapped.
Oh, okay.
That exact thing. It was the rope bridge at the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. And there it is. Like we're still talking about it like 29 years later.
Jeez.
What a time to be alive. So I guess the last question I have for you, Rob, this song is called Follow the Leader. Do we want to carry this over into the Cinemoddities restaurant? And if so, which walk-around character of ours is going to be the leader that all the children kind of follow like the Pied Piper?
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't know who would be the best to lead and take people away. Bring them into war. I don't know. I feel like we need like an army recruiter walk around character for this. I don't think we have one of those.
I don't know. How about we do something like a drill sergeant?
Oh, yeah, something like that would work. I'm also thinking Richard Stanley. Like him saying stuff like, come with me, I'm going to put a curse on you unless you follow the leader.
I figured it out. Skip the Warlock from Richard Stanley.
Oh, there we go. And would he even be a walk-around character, or would we just actually get Skip the Warlock?
Remember, he disintegrated, remember? Didn't he melt?
Yeah, that's right. Something crazy happened with Skip the Warlock. Okay, we'll have to look into that.
Maybe he's one of the characters from Green Grinning Ghosts.
Ooh, could be. Fucking Danielle.
That's who we get. We hire Danielle to find Skip the Warlock for us.
She's not going to do anything. She's just going to stand there. From what we
Rob,
gathered about Danielle, she has no work ethic in the slightest.
But Rob, she can sit there, see the ghost. She's like Haley Joel Osment.
She's some clairvoyant person. Oh, God.
Exactly.
You're foolish, Danielle. You're foolish. You're glib.
So that's all I have to say about this segment, Rob. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that was everything I had for. Yep, Ganji's gal, and then what? The next thing we get is the grotesquely horrifying country bear costumes.
Oh, well, okay. First, I want to point out the introduction to this because I absolutely love it. I love the introduction we get by the first bear when the segment ends. It's like, oh God, okay, I want to do it. I want to do my, we'll play the clip afterwards, but I want to do my impersonation because every time I watch this, I do it. And like I said, today I watched this 3 times, and every single time I did the impersonation, and every time I made myself laugh, hearing the actual bear person do it, but I have to do it justice.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't do it justice, but I'm going to try. Howdy, kids! Welcome to Tom Sawyer's Island. Like, it is the most oh God, it is insane. The voice. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Tom Sawyer's Island. It is just the most gruff prospector's voice you have ever heard in your life.
Hi, Shaker!
Howdy, kids! Let's go play on Tom Sawyer's Island.
When it started and we get his I think prospector voice is a great way to put it. We get that. We get the reveal that their necks are huge, so people can operate or be in the costumes. I thought he was going to start saying okay, kids, squeal for me like a piggy. And I'm like, this is horrifying. This song was not propaganda-esque to me, but it was still horrifying in a different way.
Ned Beatty. Okay. Ned Beatty Bear.
Ned Beatty Bear.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the horrific bear costumes. Because at one point, I thought, oh my God, these bears have all had tracheotomies because they have giant holes in their neck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, that's just a hole for so that people can see when they don't have the costume on.
Yep.
Because how are the cast members supposed to see through this? And then I realized, wait, there's a bear costume that's normal height. Because and then I started wondering, why they create 8-foot tall bear costumes that are insanely top heavy?
Yeah, it seems so weird.
Why not just make them all regular size? Because the middle bear looks the most normal out of all of them.
Yeah,
he's the most realistic and non-nightmarish out of all of them. So why go out of your way to make a horrific costume that's dangerous for someone to wear and maneuver around in?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally nothing about these costumes makes sense. They're horrific. I love the one bear has the duck face.
Yep.
Duck face bear. And it's just it's jarring. If I saw this, I know at one point in the video the kids are running away from the bears, and I'm like, yes.
Oh,
that's the correct response to have to this.
Yeah, that segment where I think the kids are running multiple times, but there's one where you see a whole line of kids walk into a cave, and above the cave it clearly says "exit only."
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are these kids doing? And then they run out of the same cave, and because there was a bear in there, and I'm like, that's what you went in the exit only. What did you expect to happen?
I don't get that. That's one of those things where I think when I went to the movies recently, they had a American Express commercial for like the credit card. And in the advertisement, before, like, as you're sitting in the movie theater, it involves a woman checking like her credit card like statement during the movie. And I literally, because Rob knows I saw Terminator Dark Fate again, and I literally screamed out in the empty theater, why the fuck are you encouraging people to use their phones during a movie?
Exactly.
Like, why in a Disney PSA or a Disney infomercial, why are you encouraging people to go into exits?
Yeah.
Into do not enter.
So confusing to me.
Yeah, it's like, this was one of those things where I was yelling. Like, if it weren't for the fact that I was so amused by, howdy kids, welcome to Tom Sawyer's Island. And I know I blew the mic out, but it was worth it that time. It was worth it.
There are some things that you need to blow the mic out on.
I want at the Cinemoddities restaurant, I want that bear, and I want him say, like, we're not even gonna have like an emulation. We're gonna have the exact audio file, and the bear's going to say, howdy kids, welcome to Tom Sawyer's Island. And people will be like, where's Tom Sawyer's Island? And we're gonna be like, shh, don't ask questions.
Is this bear gonna be like placed after they get off the ferry to get to the restaurant, like when people are waiting for the rope drop? He's there?
Yeah, yes, he's there, yes.
Confusing everybody, because like you said, they're going to be like, I thought this was the restaurant. Tom Sawyer's Island!
Tom Sawyer's Island! That might be a new merman. That's a merman level. Howdy, kids!
Howdy, kids! Let's go play on Tom Sawyer's Island.
It is good. It's good.
Oh, it's so over the top. Like, it is.
Howdy, kids! Let's go play on Tom Sawyer's Island.
I didn't know you could be that far over the top at that point. It's like, oh God, this is glorious. Straight up glorious. And the thing that's so weird about this for like a Disney infomercial is that clearly they're supposed to be based off the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yes.
But the Country Bear Jamboree ride does not feature any of those bears.
Oh, okay.
And it's not featured in the video at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I just assumed
that
they were the same bears. So
They're not. They're not. And the ride itself is not. Okay, it's not a ride. It's more of a show.
Yeah.
The show itself is not featured in the video at all.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that makes my next one of the questions I had for you almost moot. But is the film The Country Bears on Disney Plus?
I don't know.
Do you know? I don't know either. I thought you would know. Is Christopher Walken's The Country Bears on Disney Plus?
It's weird. I haven't heard anybody talking about that. That's a weird one. No, I literally have no idea. I have not. That's a weird one. I gotta look into that now because it's weird. That movie shows up in conversation every once in a while. I know. I don't know where that would be.
Okay. Peek behind the curtain. When we were, even before I think we recorded any episodes of this podcast, we were setting up our spreadsheet with things we wanted to discuss, and I saw the Country Bears in Zach's list, and I was, to this day, I am still excited. One day we will talk about that movie.
Oh, okay. I know where to find it now. Give me a second. I know I have a list somewhere. I'm like, I have my 800,000 bookmarks I have in my browser. I know I have a list of everything.
I'll get you, Bears.
No. It's no. Rob, come on.
I've never seen it. You just told me about it.
Rob, neither. I have not seen it either, but I know the
God.
quote right. I hear it in my nightmares.
It wakes me up every day.
The correct quote is, "This ain't over. Bears!
Bears!"
You have to inflect on the bears part as if you have not seen the bears at all in the last hour of the movie.
Yes.
He's only been in the movie for the last hour, but he's just now realizing that there's bears.
You ever see an actor not remember his line in real time? That's Christopher Walken in The Country Bears.
It is on Disney Plus. I can confirm it is on Disney Plus.
So that's off the table for this month's series. But like I said, we'll get to it one day.
The last thing I have to bring up about the actual clip is I know at one point they're playing like in a clubhouse. And I love that we see like the small brown bear. He's running up the stairs. But clearly when they film this, I think it's at the 11-minute and 28-second mark. You see the brown bear running up the stairs. And clearly the people that were at this like clubhouse weren't expecting this at all because there's like 4 women at the top of the stairs and the bear like legit like pushes them out of the way.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Like it's insane. Like one woman like leans back and she is so confused. It's like there's a giant bear running up the stairs.
That's good.
And the last thing I have to say about this is does the Cinemoddities restaurant, or maybe Cinemoddities, should we have a treehouse clubhouse for the kids? Like, you know, like when the McDonald's had like the bouncy, like, had like the like little, I don't know what to call it, like the castles with the bounce, like the balls. Should we have
bacteria farms? Yep.
Perfect. Should Cinemoddities have a
Cinemoddities bacteria farm that your kids can play in?
Rob figured it out, folks. He answered it for me before I could even trip over the words. So thank you, Rob.
It's going to be weird plastic that's incredibly malleable, but we never clean. And if there is any wood, it's going to be like treated wood that you are guaranteed to get a splinter from.
Bingo.
Guaranteed.
Bingo. And it's treated with some sort of chemical that in 20 years there'll be a class action lawsuit against us.
Yes.
Did your kids ever play at the Cinemoddities restaurant? I guess have we given our call like after? I guess we should give our call to action.
Oh, that's
about Disney
right.
Plus.
Yeah, we didn't do that last week.
Rob.
We forgot about it.
No, we didn't forget about Rob because now that we're recording this before the episode went out, you are going to insert a disclaimer not a disclaimer, a notice at the beginning of every episode in December Plus, telling the audience what they have to do to December Plus. You've already heard it now twice, folks.
I like it.
But we are realizing this in real time that we made a mistake.
I like it. Yes, welcome back to the Cinemoddities podcast Time Vortex.
Oh boy. All right. So unless you have anything else to say about that, Rob, can we move on to the next number, which is the greatest number?
Yeah, I think I'm ready for the zip, 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 zip.
All right, folks. The next number is Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. It's the clip that I played in reverse last week. It's everything. That's the reason why I love this video. This is the segment when I was a kid. I played it on loop. I would watch this for like all of 2 minutes, rewind it, and keep playing this over and over again because it was my favorite song. And it had all the clips of like the attractions that I never got to experience. Like, well, I experienced the Skyway, but I have no memory of it, and the submarine ride. So, plus, I've always loved the Zip-a-dee-doo-dah song. It's one of the very few like Disney songs I think I know all the words to. Like a few times, like in the shower, I'll actually be singing Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. Sometimes I'll vary between like the Song of the South version, which is the more slow down, like tempo version.
Okay.
And now sometimes I'll do it with the version from this, which is definitely a 80s, 90s like twist on it.
Oh yeah.
Especially the bridge in the middle. The bridge in the middle possibly being the greatest thing ever. When they wrote the Zip-a-dee-doo-dah song in the 40s, I don't think they ever could have imagined that they would make a 90s rap out of it at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that threw me for a loop for sure.
Well, you know it is a thrill when you go downhill, cause you're riding on the mountain of your own free will, and you're zipping in a flash on a daring dash down a waterfall so rapid that you go split splash. Zip, 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 zip. Zip, 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 zip. Zip, 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 zip-a-dee-doo-dah. Zip, 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 zip-a-dee-doo-dah.
That caught me off guard in this song. The use of the term satisfactual.
Yes.
That threw me for a loop because I like had to pause it and I was like, because I'm watching this and I'm looking at the background. I'm like, what are they? Like, what's going on? And then like a word just pops up and the subtitles are the words to follow and it's like actual satisfactual and I'm like, wait, what? Did I have a stroke?
I love that though. I like that. Again, we'll talk about more next week what we're gonna do. But yeah, I love this. I love the Zip-a-dee-doo-dah song so much, and I find it fascinating that they don't do it as much now, especially like in the last few years, maybe the last 10 years. But Zip-a-dee-doo-dah was like one of those ubiquitous Disney songs.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was gonna say. Like this is probably maybe not in this video, but this is one of the better known Disney songs, I would say.
Oh yeah, I would say again, 10 years ago is when they really stopped like talking about it because that's when like people were like realizing, like Disney has this weird thing with Song of the South, and we'll delve into it definitely a lot more next week. But it's always this weird sort of just like they're on the edge. It's like they they embrace it to a. It's funny. They pretty much embrace every aspect of it except directly the film.
Oh, okay, sure.
Because the whole Splash Mountain ride, which is what we see in this, is based on that film. Like one of Disney's most popular attractions, which is at almost all of its parks, is based on the film. If they could genuinely if they could push a button and make everybody forget about it, they would.
Yeah.
Like that's the insane thing about like Song of the South. But like I said, we'll definitely get into that next week.
Yeah. Racism. Supposedly.
Alleged racism. No. It's a misinterpreted racism. Because there's really nothing blatantly racist. It's a reflection of its time. It's a period piece. Like it's not like it was made like it's supposed to take place in 2019. And it's of its time. It's a period piece. If you don't like that, that's fine. No one's telling you have to like it though. But it's a product of its time in more ways than one. But yeah, though. So Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, I love this song. I've always loved even though it's kind of grating, but I love the Roger Rabbit and just the sheer just over physical acting.
Oh yeah, yep.
Roger is freaked out, and the kids have to calm him down.
Yeah, it was interesting for sure.
So, Rob, if there is walk-around characters at the Cinemoddities restaurant, which one of us do the kids have to calm down the most? The Rob walk-around character or the Zack walk-around character?
I would imagine we would trade off in some sense, and maybe depending on what other events are happening at the restaurant, that would kind of guide which one of us freaks out, type of thing. Like if it's a men, women, and children type of day, they'd have to calm Rob down. But if it's a sketch comedy Fort month, they'd have to calm Zack down.
Got it.
And specifically by saying zip, 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 I want a group of children around the walk-around character just screaming zip at them in fast succession.
Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. Zip-a-dee-doo-dah day.
It made me think of that portion made me think of like, what if Andrew Dice Clay did a Zip-a-dee-doo-dah version? Like, Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, Zip-a-dee-oh! You know what I mean? Like, I would love to hear that.
Yes.
I dig it.
Okay, so three other things about this is that I think it should be said also on top of the fact that probably the happiest moments of my life about Disney back in the day were the roughly 30 seconds at minute 13:30 and then ending with like 14:10 of Star Tours.
Yes, yep.
Because when I was younger, like when I first started, because again, I had this tape well before I ever knew what Star Wars was.
Okay.
So after I had seen Star Wars, I remembered seeing like, oh, wait, C-3PO and R2-D2 are in this thing, but it says Star Tours. So like my parents had to, I think probably more my father, because my mother had no clue. My father had to like explain to me, like, it's just Star Wars. I guess they just can't call it like Star Wars for legal reasons. And when I was younger, I would watch this all the time just for the Star Tours sequence.
Sure.
Because this is also back before YouTube. So if you ever wanted to like live out Star Tours from home, this was the best you could do.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's delightful. Absolutely delightful. And we get to see Captain Rex, voiced by Paul Rubens, who is now the DJ at Ooga Booga's Cantina at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Buy your tickets now.
Paul Rubens, like the Paul Rubens?
Yeah, he's Captain Rex.
You mean Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens?
Yeah, he's
Holy
Captain Rex.
Shit. Never knew that.
He was the voice of Rex. And then for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, because in 2011, when they redid Star Tours into Star Tours The Adventure Continues, they got rid of him. They made C-3PO the pilot, which makes no sense at all. But again, Disney knows better than we all do, don't they? Okay. And they brought back Rex to be the DJ at the Cantina. And it's painful. As somebody who loves the Star Tours, the original incarnation, the new one's crap, it's garbage. As someone who loves that character and just how unique he was, it's a travesty that they made him the DJ, because they actually got Paul Rubens to come back and voice him again. And it's like I've watched the clips of him on YouTube, and it's like if you love that iteration of Star Tours, it's humiliating what they've done to him. He's like, "Yo, okay. I can't wait to drop." I can't do it. Like I don't know specifically though, but it's all these like Star Wars puns. Like instead of like, it's like, "Oh, I'm about to drop these sick Wookiee beats," and I'm like, "Oh my god, kill me." kill me. It's again, insert the Ryan Gosling. Like that's my reaction. When I was watching that the first time. It's like, oh, like the first footage of like DJ Rex from Ooga Booga's Cantina at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, and my face is like my face just slowly deflates, and I have this really stoic like gaze, and I'm like, God damn it! And tear across the room.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
Hot damn. Yeah, I love Paul Rubens. Great.
Yes, and clearly he needs money, so Disney wrote him a check, and like anything else in life, as long as the check clears, Disney gets its way. And then the second to last thing is in this sequence with Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, and I know it shows up in a bunch of other parts of this infomercial as well. But it's the most kind of like profound. Is that not profound? It's the most noticeable. Mm-hmm. Is there's a lot of stock footage.
Ah, sure.
Like it's stuff that like you clearly tell that they didn't film for this, because in a couple of the shots you'll see where like you'll see the kids and you'll see like the sky, and the sky is kind of like bright white. And then, like, in the stock footage, the sky's blue.
Oh, sure.
And you're like, oh, like, clearly this is, like, reused stuff from, like... I think I even looked on, like, one of the Disney Wikias, and it's like, oh, this is, like, reused from, like, some sort of special they did, like, in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the last thing I want to point out before we move on is that I think it's at the 12-minute and 40-second mark. If you watch the train come into the station, you'll see a guy with a black T-shirt, and he actually gives like a finger salute or a finger gun shoot to Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. He does like the gives him the nod type of thing.
Yeah. I love that. I just noticed that this time. And it should be pointed out that when this was being produced, Roger Rabbit was like barely 6 months old as a character. Like Roger Rabbit was like a wholly original, like brand new character at this time.
Yeah, I did not expect to see him in this movie, that character in this movie.
Yeah, at this time he was a genuine celebrity. Like he was like the first character in a while that Disney had that was like hot. Like he was popular.
Yep.
Because this was all like,
where's the Bob Hoskins walk around character?
At the bar. He's at the back of it.
That's good.
And then the last thing is you know what? This kind of conflicts with what a later idea I have for the Cinemoddities music. That we probably have some music at the restaurant, right? That we play over speakers.
Oh yeah, like the performances of the Vox Lux animatronic. I think didn't we say that we have some song very loud on repeat just in the bathrooms or something at one point?
Yeah. But I want added. I know this conflicts with what I'm about to say later on, but I do want on the soundtrack Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. I want the 90s remix version.
Sure. Yeah, with the zip, 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 zip.
God damn right. All right, Rob, anything else about Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, or can we move on?
No, nothing else about Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. For the listeners at home, we have hit the halfway mark of the video we're discussing.
And we are at roughly an hour and 44 minutes, folks. This should be fun. But to be fair, my snack portion is rather small. So I think once we kind of like end the discussion, we're going to coast into an ending much faster than usual.
Oh, yeah. So I'm ready for Rumbly and my tumbly.
Rumbly and my tumbly.
Rumbly in my tumbly. I love saying that.
Yesterday I was watching this and I had to go somewhere, so I had to turn this off halfway through. And as I was out doing stuff yesterday afternoon, I was singing this to myself. I'm like, I'm so rumbly in my tumbly for something sweet. And whoever I was with was like, if you're hungry, we can stop and get something. I'm like, I'm singing Winnie the Pooh songs. Folks, anytime you're hungry with a group of people, just go around saying you're rumbling, you're tumbling for something sweet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way to do it, right?
Exactly. So some of the stuff that there's not a lot I have to say about this. I think this is a cute song. It's always been kind of the letdown, because you're never gonna be able to top Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. So this is kind of like everything's downhill from here.
Yeah, this is all the falling action now of the video.
Pretty
much. Climax was Zip-a-dee-doo-dah.
Exactly. But the weird thing I found about this video is that there's an insane amount of like candid voyeuristic footage.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so much footage of people just eating from a distance that I have to wonder. It was like, not all these people could have signed off on this. Because I know at one point, like the most jarring shot we get in this, and I know a lot of it's staged, because we'll see like some of the people like present the kids food, like Tigger serving popcorn. We have, oh God, who is it? We have Donald Duck serving pancakes.
Oh, sure.
And we have a bunch of stuff like that. But at one point in the footage, we cut to a little girl at a table from a distance eating noodles, and the color timing is like night and day compared to the rest of the segment. Okay, where is it? Okay. Yeah, it is. 15 minutes and 49 seconds. We get one shot of a little girl eating noodles, and the timing is completely different.
Oh God, yeah, holy shit.
So that was so the director maybe is some sort of pervert and was like watching like, the little girl eat noodles, like, yeah,
This is the shot.
Yeah.
This is the shot. This is the money shot. Slurp up that noodle.
because it's so out of place.
What is she? The little girl has something in the other hand. Because her left hand is the spoon, and she's eating noodles, and in the right hand there's like a burger or something. Do you see this?
Yeah, it's a burger.
This bitch is double fisting over here. Maybe that's why I included it. This little girl's so hungry. She's double fisting food.
But that's, on a visual level, it's so jarring.
Oh yeah, it really is. Yeah, 100%. It's so the palette is so clearly different.
And the weird thing is that she doesn't even know the camera's like watching her. That's the thing that makes it kind of icky. Is that like you can tell when like a camera's on somebody and they don't know like it's happening. And that's it's like it's icky to be, like when it happens to like adults, but it's like especially icky when it's children.
Yeah, definitely weird. I guess I just didn't notice it because it was just, Disney video
brief.
for kids, and I was.
It's insanely brief too.
True,
It's like what, like a fraction of a second?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
It's like the equivalent of like the moldy marshmallow man ghost from Real Scary Stories.
Yes, perfect.
Really, the last thing I have to say about this, outside of like this, because folks, this is like I have like an entire page full of like restaurant notes for this. It was kind of like when we pitched the Cinemoddities restaurant to Mark Cuban on Shark Tank, we're going to show this clip. Like this is how our restaurant's going to serve food to people.
Perfect.
Is that in the part of the song, Pooh is singing about like food and about being hungry, and at one point he says, "It's always food time when it's Pooh time."
Yeah. See. Oh, yeah.
And so I want it on record that I want to ask Rob, do you know what time specifically is Pooh time? Because I don't know about you, but Pooh time for me is about 20 minutes after I wake up and have my first cup of coffee.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
So at the Cinemoddities restaurant, should we have a like specific like Pooh time?
I'm imagining a customer
I can't even
says to
say
the
that.
waiter. The customer says to the waiter, "Can you show me where the bathroom is?" "No, it's not Pooh time yet." What? Is that legal?
I like, unless it's a specific time, we lock the bathrooms.
Yeah, someone goes to the bathroom and it's locked, so they think they need to go get a key, but it's like, no, you have to wait. For what? Maybe 3 more hours?
Oh my God. I'm rumbly in my tummy, then it's time to eat. It's the tasteful thing to do. Be it 10 or 12 or 2. For any time is food time. When you set your clock on Pooh time.
I will say, we do get the bouncing honeypot in this, so
yes,
they give us some help with the lyrics. So that's why Zack was able to recreate that so perfectly.
We only have 16 minutes to wait till we finally get what they promised in the first 10 seconds of the video.
Yeah, something finally bouncing.
Yes. All right. So, food items I have for this. I like earlier in the video when Tigger is serving Pooh some popcorn. He trips and spills all of his popcorn, and everybody laughs at him. So I think we should make that a rule, because I think Rob knows when you go to a restaurant, like an employee like breaks a plate or a glass, you're supposed to clap. That's kind of like the non-spoken rule. I think at the Cinemoddities restaurant, one of the walk-around characters spills food. You should openly mock them.
Oh, sure. That sounds like
I think
something
we've done that before.
Yeah,
I think we've done that before.
Yeah, but this will solidify it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Demoralize them for sure.
Perfect. The next thing is, in the video, we see some kids served some Mickey Mouse pancakes.
Yep.
And I think we should have Rob and Zack pancakes, because it's Cinemoddities of late night movies with Rob and Zack. But it's the exact same Mickey Mouse shape with the cherry eyes and the pineapple smile.
Okay, sure.
It's the exact same thing. It's like, but I wanted the Rob ones. And it's like, these are the Rob ones.
The Rob ones.
But it's like, I ordered the Zack ones. They look the same. Do you not get it yet?
Yeah. It's like, really?
And then lastly, but not least, I want the poo walk around character that stares at you while you try to eat while singing the song. Like you're trying to eat your meal. Like let's say you're one of the very few people in the restaurant that knows how to navigate the maze, which is the restaurant, to find something that's genuinely edible. You order it, and then while you're trying to eat, the Winnie the Pooh walk around character sits there and sings you the "Hungry in My Tummy" song. Rumbly in my tummy song, excuse me.
Okay, yeah, some pressure from the restaurant.
Yes, make you uncomfortable. Another aspect of the voyeurism.
Yeah, exactly.
And while this is going on, he's trying to steal your food.
Of course. How? Because we don't pay our employees anywhere near enough for them to feed themselves.
Yeah, forget about a living wage. We can't even feed give them a feed wage. Like, they can't even afford to eat the food. Like, we throw out. I know a lot of restaurants at the end of the day will like send their employees home with like leftovers. We throw them away.
Yeah. Yes.
No one's getting free food at the Cinemoddities.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, I'm also imagining someone is like, they ask for a manager or whatever. I don't know. I'm assuming anyone with authority in our restaurant would also be a walk around character. And the customer complaining like this walk around character touched my food, and it's like that just happens, and the customer's like, no, but he touched it with his jizzle.
I thought you were going to say like somebody asked to speak to a manager, and we send over the Winnie the Pooh walk around character.
Oh my god!
Excuse
to
me.
see the look on their face would be hilarious.
Can you imagine going to Disney World and like seeing like one of these character like breakfasts where it's like something like $100 a plate, and you have a problem with the food, and it's like you tell the waiter, "Excuse me, can I speak to the manager?" And they send over like the Winnie the Pooh walk around character.
Jafar comes over. What is wrong with your food?
He has the scepter too. He's like, he puts
hypnotizing you. Nothing's wrong with your food. I'm the Sultan now.
Oh my god, that's great. Absolutely great. All right, Rob. I guess unless you have anything else to say, we'll move on to our next song.
Yeah, my I don't know if Zach knows this, probably my least favorite Disney song. It's A Small World. I don't like this song in the slightest.
I love this so much. Like
I figured.
I want on record that I have no problems with earworms. I know a lot of people hate earworms.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Like every single time I watch this today, all like 86. Every time we got to this, I was just like much like Happy Halloween from Silver Shamrock. Sure. I was Oompa Loompiing. I'm like, it's a small world after all. And I actually have written in my notes Glee, because that's the purest emotion I had. I was just beaming while listening to this. I'm like, this is great. Like I know a lot of people don't like It's a Small World, the song, Boat and the Ride, but it's one of those things where I remember when I used to go to Disney with my brother and my nephew, and we would we always, it's funny because like a bunch of, much like my my I guess seeing Disney films, I know like I've said even last week, like I have no memory of Aladdin, no memory of Beauty and the Beast. I don't like most of these movies. And when I went to Disney with my brother, we skipped a lot of these rides because it was just like this was hokey. Like we're not doing the hokey rides.
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha.
Like if we went to Magic Kingdom, we always went like counterclockwise. Would start Tomorrowland, do Buzz Lightyear. We never did because my nephew was and he was afraid of everything. We couldn't do Space Mountain, so like we do Buzz Lightyear, and then we go to like Fantasyland. Do like I don't know what we did in Fantasyland. Like, I honestly have no idea what we did in Fantasyland. I don't think we ever did. I honestly cannot think of a single ride we did in Fantasyland. We maybe did like Mickey. I remember one year we did Mickey's Philhar Magic.
Ooh.
Then we did don't get excited. It's not very good.
I like the name.
It's cool. No, it's neat for what it is. Or it was neat back in the day for what it was. And then we do like Haunted Mansion. Like honestly, now that I think about it, what the hell did we do at the Magic Kingdom? I guess what we did was we did those things, Haunted Mansion. Mm-hmm. I think by the end of the day, I think it was Pirates of the Caribbean was probably the last thing we did.
Sure. Okay.
And that was it. Like we didn't really like that. I've never been on Jungle Cruise, never been on Space Mountain. Never been on Peter Pan, or at least I don't remember ever being on Peter Pan. I know I've done It's a Small World a couple of times, but not with him. And that's what it was. Like a lot of these rides, like I never got to go on because they were deemed hokey.
Gotcha. Makes
like
sense.
now,
that's understandable. Yeah. At the time, I guess.
Yeah, this was like 2003. The last time I was there, was 2006 was the Magic Kingdom. And the first, like, because my brother will always ask, because he didn't care. Like, he was just like, whatever you guys want to do, I don't care. And he, like, what rides do you want to go on, Zach? And I don't think Rob knows this. I don't think he knows the ride. My first thing was, I have to go on the Carousel of Progress. And they're like, what? They're like, why? I'm like, because it's Walt's attraction. Yeah. And I remember being so excited for Carousel of Progress probably is my favorite ride, because I know it's really hokey to say that in the Disney thing, because it's like, oh, it's Walt's like last attraction, or like has the most of his like spirit in it. Mm-hmm. But like, it's so like outdated and it's so like corny.
Okay.
But it's delightful because of how corny it is.
Right on.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, anyway, I have no idea where I was going with this. But yeah, it's a small world. Okay, I really don't have much to say about this segment. I love the song. Like, it's a bop. I love it. I eat it up. It's delicious.
Sure.
It's 18's level where I'm just like, I'm gonna get fat from this, but I love every moment of it.
I think part of my problem with this song is the catchiness of it, how much I've heard it throughout my life. I feel like this is one of those ones where, everybody knows this song. But ever since I was a kid, I've known it's not a small world. It's the gerbils world, Zach. Do you remember that episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog with the gerbil in the vacuum? Yeah. It's the gerbils world. Because that song, which of course we're going to get the clip in of, that song is like modeled after A Small World, and I like that better.
I forgot about that.
It's the gerbils world. It's the gerbils world. And then there's like a boat chase scene where Courage is chasing the gerbil, and it slows down to like an opera version. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yep. Oh yeah. And that now, I remember that episode because that's the one with the. Isn't that the woman that's like in the vacuum cleaner and it's like she has like the suction cups for hands and feet and she's like, and Courage like screams when he sees her and she's like, haven't you ever seen a lady before?
Yes, because the premise of that episode of the gerbil is pretending to be a traveling vacuum salesman, and when people like agree to his stuff and sign the contract, he will use the vacuum to like shrink them and suck them up because he wants to take them back to his like research department and use little humans as his guinea pigs. Like it's a gerbil testing things on humans, like genetic experiments on humans.
What's the matter with you? Haven't you ever seen a lady before?
For kids.
I remember Sal and I used to go through this. There's no logical explanation as to how John Dilworth got a TV show for children.
Oh yeah, no.
He was either sleeping with an executive, blackmailed, or drugged them. It's one of those three.
That's what I was about to say. Possibly a very good blowjob.
Or all of the above.
Yeah. It's Courage the Cowardly Dog is a relic of time, just like Wonder shows, and it's like, God damn. We don't know why or how this exists, but we're thankful for it. Well, yes. In the case of Courage, I'm thankful for it.
I like Courage is very much an Eraserhead type of thing, where like I watch it, but I cannot say that I like it. Like it's like I admire its existence, but I cannot say in good faith I like it because it even though it's not as bad as an Eraserhead, it's like Baby's first Eraserhead. Especially the first season is genuinely Baby's first Eraserhead.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's a Christmas ornament Rob and I are gonna make. It's gonna be the lady in the radiator, and on the back it's gonna say Baby's first Eraserhead.
Baby's first Eraserhead.
No, oh god, how stupid am I? It's not the lady in the radiator. It's Henry's baby.
Would it be the baby? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the really like big version, like after like he cuts open the dressing. That's what it is.
Nice.
God
okay, yeah, I love that thing.
I'm so goddamn stupid.
Snap out of it, Danielle. Cut the shit. Think of Christmas ornaments better.
All right, and the only addition I have for the restaurant is, much like I said before, I'm going to conflict this with what I said earlier about Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, but I want It's a Small World played over the music system, but I have it in my notes written as all the time.
It's a Small World all day?
All the time. E major all day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, right on. Well, I hope I didn't have much. The only thing I had about It's a Small World was it's not a small world, it's a gerbil's world, but
It's that Gerbil's world. 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 It's that Gerbil's world.
Small World for me, always, I don't think Zach's seen it still, but I hope one day we will discuss the anti-Disney film Escape from Tomorrow, where our main character vomits on the It's a Small World ride, and that's a good scene.
I forgot. Oh God, Rob. Okay, Rob. This December Plus is becoming a fort month.
I really want to talk about. I only saw Escape from Tomorrow once, but I loved it, and I think it would fit as a great juxtaposition to your love of Disney that you're showing off in this series.
That'd be interesting. I still have to watch this. I remember hearing about that. I know I'm the one who suggested that to you. I still have never gotten to that. Not for any sort. I want to see it, but it's just one of those things that's just always it gets buried on the list of like things to watch.
Yeah. Throw it on there. It's good. I love. I think I mentioned it a long time ago on this podcast, but every time in that movie someone says the word Disney, it gets bleeped out, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's clever. I guess the next. I have nothing else to say, so I guess we're moving on to Making Memories.
Yeah, and the propaganda turns up again. Because like I said before, Making Memories starts with before you know that it's about taking pictures, the first two lines are, now we shoot whatever we see.
Now we shoot whatever we see.
Night or day in color photography. Before the in color photography point came out, I was like, oh my God, this is about murder. Like the first few lines might have well been, we don't shoot until we see the whites of their eyes.
Yeah, I've never seen that under this lens, but I've always like interpreted this song as the voyeurism song.
Yeah,
because all this is videotaping people without them knowing it.
Mm-hmm. Take pictures, show your friends, publicity.
It's like make people feel uncomfortable by like get sexual arousal by filming people. There's nothing weird about that.
Yep. Yeah. I know there's one shot somewhere in here where like Mickey taps Minnie on the shoulder and they both hold up cameras. Yep. Like, so Minnie takes a picture of Mickey holding a camera and Mickey takes a picture of Minnie holding a camera. I'm like, I guess it works, but who would ever do that?
Oh God! Okay? First thing I want to point out about that sequence is that camera is almost like those cameras they're holding, because they are like super big for like the walk around characters to hold. They look like the camera from Goosebumps.
Oh, the toaster camera type thing.
Yes.
It does definitely.
Oh God, yeah. I've always seen this one. This is one of my least favorite like songs from the entire video because I feel like it has no point. Like in all honesty, like this song should have like a little like sticker under it that says like presented by Kodak or Ethan Kodak. I know probably the reason why this was in there because Kodak for the longest time was like a big, huge sponsor of Disney.
Oh, okay.
And that only started to cease when like digital photography took over.
Sure.
I remember hearing stories like Kodak had such a huge influence over Disney that apparently back, I think like in the early 90s, they wanted to put a like a Godzilla Mount Fuji like ride in Epcot, and Kodak told them no because people will think the park is sponsored by Fujifilm.
Oh, okay, sure.
That's the sort of sway that like Eastman Kodak had over this.
Interesting.
And I can still remember to this day seeing all like the Kodak stuff like everywhere. Like if you ever go to like any of the souvenir shops, they always had Kodak like film. Like it was everywhere.
I guess that somewhat answers this question. But back in this time, say the 80s, early 90s, could you get film developed at Disney? Like, let's say you go for a weekend and on the first day, you finish a roll. Could you get it developed at Disney in like a 24-hour photo type of thing? Because then this song would make perfect sense. Everybody take pictures and then keep using our services in the park. But I never know if they actually did that.
Okay.
Because if Kodak was involved, then it would make sense. Like they get their little photo shops, you buy their film, they develop it like it's a closed system.
I've never heard that specific. I have no memory of that specifically.
Okay.
The idea I think always was, I don't think you needed to develop the pictures immediately. It was that like you always had extra film. Like you take pictures, so you go buy. Like, again, think about the normal roll of film costs $15. It's going to cost you like $23 at the parks, if not more. And the attitude was just they probably had carrying cases for all your additional thing. Like, oh, here's your little special Eastman Kodak film carrying case, film roll. Yeah, that's probably what it was. I think probably the attitude is that if you wanted them developed, you either waited until you got home or you went to like a 24-hour photo outside the parks. Okay, sure. I guess it makes sense just as well with the film. Like you take your pictures, and then buy more film. That gets the job done. It makes them enough money. Yeah. Most people did not. It's not like today where you need that instant like proof that you did something. Yeah. Like, again, it's funny. I was talking to somebody, and it's like it's hard to really believe that just like 20 years ago, that like if you wanted to capture something, like capture a piece of media, whether it be again film, photos, music, how just difficult it was. Like I think we talked about like when it came to the 18s, it was like if you heard a song back in the day that you liked and you didn't know the name of it, there's a good possibility that you had to go weeks until you eventually just like got lucky and heard it again, or you heard the DJ say it, or you like just found somebody who knew a lot about music. And the same goes for photos nowadays. That like if you were somewhere and you ran out of film, you were out of luck. And that's why Kodak loved like their partnership with Disney, because it was a great place. Like people were always running out of film all the time, and it was a great place to sell it at a huge markup. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's one of those things that we really don't think about anymore, just how hard it was to like capture media back in the day. Definitely something we've taken for granted in the last like 20 plus years. Oh, big time. So one specific scene I want to highlight about this, if you look at like the 20-minute, 20-second mark, you go through there and there's a moment where there's a guy with his kid like sitting on his shoulders, but the kid is actually falling asleep and he's holding his kid's head up. Oh my God. That I was imagining something less precariously perched when you described it, but this is like that kid's ready to go down. Like that dude sneezes, that kid's hitting the pavement. That kid moves the wrong way. Yeah. And the worst part, and the kid is out. Like you look at that, the kid is out. Big time. But the thing I gotta say about this is that this is like, and this entire thing, which like I said, crass consumerism. This is like the cutest moment in it. Like this seems like a genuine like moment. This was not staged. Someone got lucky with the camera and caught like a genuinely magical, cute moment. Like a kid who's like exhausted from the fun of Disney. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. It's cute. Like this is like, in all honesty, this entire like number would have been so much better if it was just this. Like it's like 2 seconds long, and it's like, oh, making memories. Like this is one of those moments you would never like in the history of that kid being a kid. That never happened again. Yeah. And you literally made a memory, and you caught it on film. Perfect. Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it. Next thing, I know at one point in this, I forget which character. I think it might be Pluto, but we have a character signing autographs, like one of the walk-around characters signing his autograph in one of the kids' autograph books. And I remember when I went to Disney, they all like every single shop, they always had the autograph books. And to this day, I cannot figure out how this has worked, because even when I was small, why would I want an autograph by a walk-around character?
Sure. I mean, I've heard of this concept a bunch. I probably had one of those when I was a kid, but I think it's always kind of seemed to me where like the kid doesn't know that it's a walk-around character. Like the kid really thinks it's Mickey Mouse type of thing. That's part of the appeal. That's how I've tried to rationalize it to myself, at least.
Sure. But how? Like, I know that's like, it's okay because Rob knows my affinity for Disney park stuff. Like, and I know like I've read and heard stuff that like the meet and greets with the characters are like statistically speaking are infinitely more popular than the like attractions and rides.
Oh, okay.
And I can't figure out why.
Yeah, that's surprising to me for sure.
Like, I just don't get it. I guess maybe it's that social media culture we live in nowadays where like, but I can't imagine, like, if I was in high school or kind of like, Rob knows, like in our high school, like every year they had the trip to Disney, or I know sometimes it changed to like Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And it's like, if somebody showed me like, like even if it was on their phone, forget like an actual tangible photograph. And they're like, here's my picture with like Darth Vader or Mickey Mouse or Elsa from Frozen. And my first reaction would be, how long did you have to wait online for that? And the answer is usually like 2 hours minimum. I would have been like, so you wasted your time there then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know, like, I remember when I was at the parks with my brother, and I know this contributes to how I think about that, but like when we would come out of an attraction, my brother would literally just like push us through the gift shop, being like, nope. Like it wasn't an issue of spending money. It was like, we're not wasting it cost money to be here.
Yeah.
And even though he had annual passes, it was the idea that like every minute we're not waiting online for something, we are wasting time.
Sure. Yeah. You want to squeeze it all in. Absolutely.
Because if you want your character, if you want to take a picture of yourself with a random person, you can do that anywhere for free.
Yeah.
Stand in front of the TV and take a picture. It's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm even thinking now, like, when at least me and younger, and seeing that stuff in Times Square. Like, you got Spider-Man walking around Times Square, Optimus Prime walking around, blah blah blah, and it's like people stop and take pictures with that, and it's like, why? It's like,
I know
what's the attraction there?
I know. It's like if you want to take a picture of yourself, like in the middle of Times Square, that's cool. It's a landmark. You prove that you were there. It's a memory. Taking your picture with a person wearing a costume. Like, what's the memory there? Like, some poor person's making money by just standing near you? Like, I do not, in all honesty, I know, like, I've told my mother, like, I've ranted to my mother about this over the years. And she's like, well, you'll understand when you have kids someday. And it's like, no. Like, my kids won't be that stupid. Like, Daddy, I want to stand next to... Insert okay, what's a really obscure
Nelson
Disney
De La Rosa.
He's not a Disney character, Rob.
Not
he
yet.
should be, but he's not yet. I want to stand next to Loretta Modern from Pixel Perfect, and it's like, A, we can't do that because she doesn't photograph well, and 2, it's like, why? It's like, hun, I know you love Disney movies, but the magic is in like the movie. It's not in real life.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like, insane. Like, the only time I would say you should take a picture with the walk-around characters is if it's like Johnny Depp gets drunk and he finds like the Johnny Depp costume in someone's locker and like wanders around like the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction.
Yes. Yep.
I know. Like, okay, to be honest,
will you sign this, Jack Sparrow? And he's like, oh, I can't see straight, kid. And the award for best actor goes to I forgot the envelope. What's happening?
No, but like, in all honesty, though, not to make fun of Johnny Depp, but like, he'll do that sometimes. Like, I've heard about it. Like, he'll actually, like, on Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, he'll get in the costume and he'll like walk around the actual like on the ride and do the thing, and people like, that happens. Like, it's happened a couple times.
A few videos of it, yeah.
And like, in a couple of times, like after he's done doing that, he'll like go outside the ride and take pictures for like a half an hour. If you can get like Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, like, and just by sheer coincidence, you're in the parks that very same day, that's great. Like, you go, like, that's fantastic. That's a memory. But to take a picture of some guy, like, in a getup, like, and you know what the weird thing is? I've heard stories that the guy who, like, for like during like the early 2000s, like up until like, God, to this, like, this day, Disney has had to retire the Johnny Depp walk-around character because so many women try to like hit on him and feel him up. I'm not making that up. That's a legit thing.
Yeah, I would buy it. Yeah.
Remember, folks, women are pigs too. Even women can be disgusting at times.
And we're canceled.
Yeah, so like making memories, getting back to that, there's some weird things about this. Again, like the autograph book is stupid, but I've always seen this more as the voyeurism song because it's like there's so much just photographing people without them noticing it at first. And there's two things I want to add to the restaurant. One, I don't think Rob's ever known this, and most people don't. At one point, there was like a quasi petting zoo at Disneyland. Okay. It was like the goat. It was like the goat farm, which was there until just recently. They shut it down, demolished it for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Sure.
And then the second thing, I think we should have like a quasi petting zoo at the Cinemoddities restaurant. I'm not sure, Rob. I don't know. We don't think we ever explored having animals in the restaurant in any sort of official capacity.
For some reason, I remember when we discussed Freaked. Of course, we had to discuss the heavy petting zoo.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think there was some other animal-related thing. And I was like, don't we have a heavy petting zoo? So, yeah, I don't recall either.
But, yeah, we have to explore that a little bit more now. Maybe we'll make a note in the spreadsheet, Rob. We'll have to talk about the petting zoo a little bit more if we want to do that for the year 2, like, wrap-up.
Sure. Okay. What animals do we want? Indeterminate as of now.
Indeterminate as of now. And then the last thing is, at one point during the voyeurism, we have Pluto doing caricatures. And I don't think we've talked about this. What about we have caricatures in the restaurant?
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. I know we've talked about like our costumes for Rob and Zack walk-around characters would be caricatures of us, but yeah, like something where, you know, we can actually get people to sit down and have a caricature painted of them. Okay, yeah, maybe they're always like outrageously offensive caricatures.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
If someone's not offended, the caricaturist is not doing their job.
Yes, definitely.
Kind of like the episode of The Simpsons where the caricaturist does like the thing of Lisa and she gets mad because she's like a big head.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. But I have nothing else to say about making memories after that.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm ready to move on to
the greatest segment in Rob's opinion in the entire video.
Dumb bitch Danielle.
Danielle.
Bitch. Snap out of it, Danielle. What are you doing? You're just standing there. Go into the fucking ride. Why are you thinking about the ride? Just go into the ride. Like, what's wrong with you? You're not even online yet.
I like to imagine, like, while they're standing there in front of, like, the entrance, like, people are like, what the hell are these stupid kids doing? Like move! And they're still like,
lost, little girl?
No, it's kind of like that. There's an episode of Family Guy where it's like Brian and Stewie go back in time. They watch the characters pause during, like, the cutaway jokes.
Oh,
and like, what are they doing? It's like, oh, this is back during cutaway gags where we just stand still.
Wait, what are they doing? I don't know. They're just standing there like zombies. Do you think they're all right? I'm not sure.
And then there was that time at the ice cream store.
They're doing it again. What the hell? I'm at a loss. I mean, I know we're not supposed to mess with the timeline, but should we call an ambulance? That is so creepy.
And remember you had an Irish coffee the day we went to see Philadelphia?
Oh, they're setting up cutaways. Oh my God, is that what we did back then? Yeah, I mean, now we just, like, return text messages and screw around and whatnot.
I like to imagine it's that, and you see someone behind these kids that, like, they're frozen perfectly still, and someone's like, what the hell are these kids doing? Move! Much like what Rob was doing. It's like, oh, like, fine! It's like, oh, and you walk around them, and you hear the person go, fucking kids on meth these days.
Having a hallucination in the middle of the street.
Even Disneyland's not safe anymore. Yeah, but like, and the weird thing about this though that I thought was like interesting was that like outside of the very end where the kid like in the red shirt talks to Danielle, everything like the kids don't move their mouths at all. It's all dubbed.
Oh yeah, it's very strange.
But they're supposed to be talking to each other, yet we never see them like physically talk.
Yeah, maybe they're having telepathic communications. That's what we're seeing.
That's the only logical thing to pull from this. They're having. What else do you call a conversation between two people where their mouths don't move?
Yeah.
Other than like telepathic conversations. So, bravo to Danielle and the kid in red shirt because clearly they got a gift.
Oh my God, Danielle, fucking Danielle.
But okay, the last thing this is more about like Disney as a whole. In this segment, we have a bunch of we see the Haunted Mansion is night when Danielle's hallucinating what could possibly happen. And we see a bunch of the Disney villains gallivanting and dancing around. We see Captain Hook. We see the Big Bad Wolf from the Three Little Pigs short. We see Maleficent. We have the Evil Witch from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And most importantly, we have Donald Duck in a ghost costume.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I love that. Yeah, I'm like, God damn it, Disney, sell me that plush for $39.99. I'll buy it. And we see his tail sticking out of it too. But no, one of the biggest things I've heard about this, from my Disney, knowledge, is that the Disney villains are some of the most popular things. Oh, yeah. And I've wondered, why hasn't Disney tried to do a quasi Ready Player One, but with the Disney villains?
It's called it's called the original Kingdom Hearts storyline.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, all the Disney villains team up to get control over the different worlds, and Sora has to go around and of course there's a bigger plot going on of the non-Disney villain, but yeah, there's multiple shots at the beginning of this game, or multiple cutscenes, I should say, at the beginning of the first Kingdom Hearts, where you got Hook, Ursula, Oogie Boogie, Jafar, all the villains of the worlds in that game, and they're around a table and they're plotting with each other.
That little squirt took down that Heartless. Who'd have thought it?
Such is the power of the Keyblade. The child's strength is not his own.
Why don't we turn him into a Heartless? That'll settle things quick enough.
And the brat's friends are the king's lackeys. Slug on the eyes, they're all Bill's rats by the look of them.
You're no prize yourself.
Shut up!
Enough! The Keyblade has chosen him. Will it be he who conquers the darkness? Or will the darkness swallow him? Either way, he could be quite useful.
It's great. That's why I loved the first Kingdom Hearts game when I was little, and I wasn't even that into Disney. But I loved that aspect. It was a big mashup, a Ready Player One, like you said.
Why? But why won't they? Again, this is a company that's creatively bankrupt. They've run out of ideas.
Sure.
Why not do that then? And that's at least something. You're taking all these odds and ends that you already have, and just repurposing them. Weird.
It would sell for sure, especially doing with the more modern Disney villains, getting all them to team up type of thing. People would eat that up.
Exactly. I think of all okay, what's a really modern Disney villain that nobody's ever heard of?
It's the one from Tangled.
Yeah, that one. No, Tangled.
Exactly. Neither of us know who it is.
Yeah, but people like Tangled though. That's the problem. People would know who that is. The villain from Frozen.
The bad robot from Big Hero 6.
There's a bad robot in Big Hero 6?
I think that's the villain, yeah. There's a bad Baymax, right? Maybe.
You know what? That could be a complete fabrication, but I have nothing else. I can say anything else but sure. And the last thing I want to say about this is that we get, like I said earlier, we have Maleficent, and the actress that portrays Maleficent looks better and performs the character better in roughly 15 seconds than Angelina Jolie has done in roughly 3 hours plus of her two movies combined.
That's good. I haven't seen the Angelina Jolie ones, but that does not surprise me, you saying that.
Disney's sing-along songs, Disneyland Fun, has a better representation of Maleficent than the combined budget of $400 million of the two films.
Right on. Maleficent is also the only Disney villain to appear in all of the Kingdom Hearts games. Nobody knows, she's just lost in the sauce with the story. It's funny. Her and Pete run around and they have no idea what's going on. It's great.
So, okay, when it comes to the restaurant, Cinemoddities restaurant, the two things I want to have Ghost Donald Duck.
Oh, of course. 100%.
Yes. And then two, I think at one point in this, we have a bunch of trees, dead trees dancing around.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that is some cool visuals.
I want that. I want dead trees dancing around the Cinemoddities restaurant.
Perfect. I think with how much natural resources will be seeping out of the surrounding land that the restaurant sits on, we will have no shortage of dead trees to use for our purposes.
Excuse me. We'll have no shortage of dead dancing trees.
Exactly. They're trees, and then the radioactivity that the restaurant gives off kills them and makes them dance.
Yes. Perfect. All right, Rob, do you have anything else to say about Grim Grinning Ghost?
No, and I honestly, that song was the end of my notes proper, I should say. I started to think, because we only have like 6 minutes or something left in the video, and so I started, thinking about Cinemoddities late night snacks and stuff, and especially because the next song I did not enjoy, the character parade.
Yeah,
this was the super duper full on infomercial stuff to me, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it lacks a lot. This thing kind of lacks substance to begin with, and this is where it just completely it's vacuous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But no, there's two things I want to bring about the parade. First, I think it's really funny that you watch this, and again, this was filmed sometime in 89, 90, and you look at the characters, and there's not one character that's even other than Roger Rabbit, and I don't even think Chip and Dale are in this. There's not a single contemporary character in this.
Oh,
in this, and I don't mean contemporary as in because they're really, think about it, in the 80s, outside the Little Mermaid, which was just barely off the presses at that point, there was nothing. The most recent popular film Disney had in that parade was Alice in Wonderland, because we see the worm. Yeah,
the caterpillar, I think.
Yeah, the caterpillar, and and that's just kind of wow. And then at one point, I saw a bunch of I saw a giant pink hippo dancing. I'm what the hell is a pink hippo from? And then I saw the ostriches, and I went, Fantasia!
Yeah.
I'm oh my god, there was a point where they had walk around Fantasia characters, and even better, they had a Fantasia float.
Oh yeah. I would love to, hopefully go back in time and see a Chernobog float or something. That's the Night on the Bald Mountain thing with the lava.
Rob.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
You have to say that.
Maybe our audience didn't know.
They know it too, Rob.
They all had homework to do.
Stop flexing the one bit of Disney info you have, Rob.
I'm trying to keep up.
Boy, but it was. I saw that, and I'm God, it was a different time. Now you go see a Disney parade, and all this is it's Frozen and Pixar. It's Nemo, Buzz Lightyear, Nemo again, Dory, Woody, and it's that's the parade. It's but doesn't Disney have thousands of characters? It's Marlin from Finding Nemo instead, but it just looks like Nemo. Don't question it. Swipe your credit card to help Marlin and Nemo find Dory. Every Disney film's plot can be boiled down to swipe your credit card to help advance the plot.
Oh yeah. I just got to the hippo and the ostriches. That's great.
It is. I really don't have anything else to say about this. The only thing when it comes to the restaurant, I have a question that says parade ? And then next to it, I have the word yes with an exclamation mark.
Oh yeah, I mean if we have a slew of walk around characters and outfits, we got to show them off. I think this sounds familiar. Maybe I don't think we've talked about it explicitly, but maybe it's come up that at conventions that I've been to, they'll have all the cosplayers line up and kind of walk around the convention. Everybody can check them out, type of thing. We do something like that for our restaurant. We get all of our our slaves to walk around and be shown off to the customers. That could work.
Yes, we also have floats. We're going to be building floats.
Okay. I want to do this in a part of the restaurant where it wouldn't fit. So the floats are bumping into people's tables as they're eating at them.
So it's just like a real Disney parade where it barely fits. And the people have to, you have to have thousands of people scrunched into a very narrow piece of sidewalk that was never designed for that many people to be sitting there.
Yes. Yeah, it would make any fire marshal sweat bullets. Exactly. Way beyond capacity.
I remember when it had to be in early 2000s, or maybe it was when I went back to Disney a couple times since moving up here, because my father always liked the parade, and my brother was we're not. It's you choose one, parade or fireworks, and B, we're not doing the parade. We're not waiting online 3 hours to watch the parade. Because like people start waiting online. Unless you get a front row, you ain't seeing the parade. And it's like, we're not waiting online like 3 hours in advance.
Definitely. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like, sorry. It's like the parade's neat and all, but it ain't worth it.
Sure.
And then the last bit we have is the final number, When You Wish Upon a Star. And I should say, this is probably one of my favorite, like, Zip-a-dee-doo-dah, I've always appreciated from, like, this video. If it weren't, like, this was my first introduction to that. But I love When You Wish Upon a Star, like, even beyond the guise of Disneyland Fun. It's one of my favorite Disney songs. I think it shows, like, it's one of those songs that really is timeless. You can apply it to pretty much any Disney story, and it works. It's the idea, like, if you listen to the lyrics, both like from Pinocchio and how they're reiterated here on screen, it's truly a song that kind of captures the magical essence of what Disney has always stood for, both as like the man Walt Disney and just the idea of the company and how much it's advanced over the years. And like, and I do like 3 times I watched this today, and every time I've watched it prior, I always get like the tingle in the back of my head, like in my neck, and like in the endorphins. And I think it's a spectacular song. And yet, like, I'm watching this and I'm like, Disney produces so much crap these days. And we've talked about a lot of it on here, whether it be like Sophia the First, Avengers Endgame, Pixel Perfect. Like, they've produced so much content that's musical, and so much of it. And Rob knows I don't particularly like to like swear on this podcast or in life in general, but so much of what they produce, and I'm talking about the stuff they call important, whether it be like Mary Poppins Returns music or the new Frozen or Moana or any of the stuff. But like, it's all shit. Like, I know they love sucking off Lin-Manuel Miranda. I know they love doing that. But, like, his entire career combined does not even compare to the weight When You Wish Upon a Star does.
I would think I have to agree on both points. The last one you made, definitely, that, you know, they have the quality has dropped, and maybe not immensely, but notably, I think I would say. I also have to agree with you. This is a great song. When You Wish Upon a Star is a timeless song. It gets stuck in my head every now and then. And you're right, it is kind of the Disney song, but I think it's so well done and such a crisp, finished product that, like you said, it does extend beyond the realm of Disney, and it works as a song in its own right. It's great.
Yeah. That's really kind of what it comes down to, because it's just like, you look at so many of their recent movies, and I would be looking at Disney's movies if Box Office Mojo actually worked anymore. I used to be able to easily access all this sort of stuff. Now when I used to be able to click the studio to give me all their releases for the last like 30 years. I click that now and it tells me become an IMDb Pro member today. So there goes that resource. But like, you look at, like, just think off the top of my head, like in Moana.
I don't know any songs from Moana, but I know, like, I've seen people that I work on music with or know through music. I'll see like a video of them playing something on a ukulele, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like, what? Like, did you write that? And they're like, no, it's from Moana. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I have no knowledge of Disney songs from this era, and even when I do get knowledge of them, they're in one ear out the other. They're very recyclable, I would say.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you look at Frozen 2. Like, there's, like, and I know a lot of people, even like the original Frozen, I know a lot of people like Let It Go. Yes. But, like, that was a pop song. That was not a musical number. That was designed as a top 40 song that also kind of had some social push behind it, too, as to what people were going to try to infer what it meant. Yeah. But, like, you look at some of the movies, like, even... Okay, I'm thinking of other ones. So like I'm thinking of some other music movies they've done. Like, oh God, again, like you said, Tangled. There's no really good song. There's no song. And it's not an issue of good. Good is really, oh God, subjective. But it's the idea.
Songs in Tangled?
Oh yeah,
I didn't even know
that. But all these, like, most of these movies have songs, and most of them are, like, they're not bad, they're fine. But the problem is that none of this stuff has staying power to it.
Exactly.
Like the last Disney song that I would say genuinely has any song that was composed for a movie is probably Circle of Life.
Oh, that's a good point. I was going to say
that has any weight to it.
I was going to say You Got a Friend in Me, but I don't know how That was Randy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Randy
Yeah.
Newman,
That.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, You Got a Friend in Me is good, but it doesn't have like weight to it. Like
Okay,
it's
sure.
good in the context of Toy Story. Like, and that's what I mean. Most of these songs work in the context of the film they're in. Like Let It Go, when Elsa is running away after like finally like letting her powers go, and she's finally like she's embracing them. It's good in the context of the movie, but it has no staying power outside the film.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Where When You Wish Upon a Star, you can listen to that outside the context of Pinocchio, which is how most people do, and like people will get goosebumps from it. And same thing with Circle of Life. It's again, you have that sort of just wow, that swelling. There's so much you can feel the creative tour de force there. It cannot be contained within the film. Yet you look at a movie like okay, what's a good one? The Princess and the Frog.
Oh, forgot about that one.
Exactly. There's no weight to any of that. And I'm not trying to take away any of the artists or the people that worked on it. They're probably very good people. They're very, very talented, but it has no weight. And then like as time's gone on, the songs have become more and more just vanilla. Again, they're so busy sucking off Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's like, no. It's like the man has, again, he had one good Broadway show. And that's
allegedly good, yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. And that's what I mean. Like none of this stuff has anything to it. Like even Tarzan. Like some of the songs in that, like I don't know. I know some of the songs that Phil Collins did, but
yeah. It's Phil Collins. Forgot about that too. Yeah.
What's it? A Friend Like Me? Is that one of the songs?
Maybe
Strangers Like Me. Strangers Like Me.
Okay.
And You'll Be in My Heart. Like maybe in Two Worlds. You'll Be in My Heart maybe is the last one that resonates. Because I've seen that at like a lot of weddings. You'll be
makes sense.
in my that I get. Because you could play that outside the context of the film and it works. But like Hunchback of Notre Dame. No. Mulan, like there's some song in Mulan, like I'm gonna make a man out of you or something, and it's like that doesn't work outside the context of the movie.
Yeah, definitely not,
And that's what I mean, though. Is it like, and that's kind of at the end of this video, it really made me think like, and that's kind of like bringing this full circle to what I said earlier on, is that Disney, for a company that trades almost exclusively in nostalgia now, nostalgia has no soul.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's more like it's Disney now is becoming less like, oh, my memories of the company, and more of I'm looking at somebody else's like photograph book or photo albums.
Yeah, it's so strange.
It's like I recognize all these things, but there's no point to them anymore. Like I remember back when we were in high school, and I don't think Rob knew I liked Disney back in high school, but like, I remember there was a girl I sat next to and she's like, oh, are you going on the Disney trip? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you're a huge Disney fan. Why aren't you going? Because I will literally just sit there and just point to all the things that used to be in these certain locations and say, nope. And the second thing too is I'll most likely try to break in somewhere and just take, much like what a bunch of people did later. Again, folks, I've never done this before. I don't condone it, but I would sit there, like try to go somewhere where I'm not supposed to and take pictures like that. It used to be like the temptation would be like I'm unchaperoned, nobody's around. The temptation would be too great. I would never do it. And that's why I didn't go. But it's like the temptation. That's what eventually happened a lot. Like the stupid Buzzy figure. That's what happened. People kept sneaking in because Disney wasn't guarding it properly or securing the location. And it became like a security risk. And that was the thing. It's like, and that's why I have it's even like, again, maybe I'm just so set in my ways. It could be that. But looking at a lot of Disney stuff, like my mother even offered to me a couple years ago. She's like, if you want, like, I'll give you some money to go to Florida and like go to Disney. And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, why not? Because everything I love about Disney's gone. Like everything that was unique about it doesn't exist there anymore. They have homogenized and sanitized the soul of the company out of the property. Like I know again, it depends. Rob and I are talking about doing a bunch of things. Like 1 week of Monstober. December plus is still up in the air, but like all the attractions that I love are gone. Like there's extraterrestrial alien encounter. Like I can still remember seeing that. I only saw it once, but I remember it so vividly because it's just how strange and weird it was. I always wanted to see Captain EO. They did bring that back after Michael Jackson died, and I missed out on it because I didn't get back there in time. it's like I remember my father raved about that. Was always like he always talked about Captain EO. Like it was like the most mind-blowing thing to him. And a lot of the things I love, like I always wanted to ride 20,000 Leagues. That's gone. Like everything, like Carousel of Progress. I'd love to see that. Like I said, I love that. Sure. But like it's so ill-maintained now. Like half the things don't work. Like there's, I guess it's what it is that you're seeing. Like originally it was GE's Carousel of Progress. And like you had all these different like effects, and because it's not considered a priority, they don't keep having like the effects running. So like you're watching, like it's much like almost a real world representation of the Vox Lux experience at the Cinemoddities restaurant. Like you're supposed to have all these effects. Like there's an iron that's supposed to have steam coming out of it. You have an oven where there's supposed to be like a smell effect of like a turkey dinner. Sure. You're supposed to have all these things. And guess what? Once the effects run out, they don't pump any money into it because it's not considered a priority. So it's like, why am I going to spend like $120 just to get into the park? Like at least $60 on food, and then like hotel accommodations, travel. Like, why am I going to spend close to $1,000 to go somewhere where everything I love is gone, and the few things that I do want to see again are so poorly maintained and just mismanaged? Why am I going to do that? Why am I going to support this thing? Mm-hmm. And then when I do give them money, all they're going to do is give me another goddamn Avengers nonsense thing.
Exactly. Yep, I agree completely.
Like, that's the kind of shame that, like, it's funny in the, I was thinking about this a lot when we were talking about Stanley Kubrick in the, like, Life in Pictures documentary I referenced. Mm-hmm. But his widow, Christiana, is being interviewed about how, because Kubrick was born and raised in, I think, Brooklyn or the Bronx. And he moved to England for the last, like, decades of his life. Mm-hmm. And she says at one point in the interview, she's like, why, like, she says he was always homesick for New York, except he realized that the place he was homesick for didn't exist anymore.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I feel, like, not just about Disney, but kind of like my memories of Florida. It's kind of like the reality of I'd love to go back, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
in more ways than one. And that's kind of how I feel about Disney. And I think that's why things like Defunct Land and all those things that, like, Rob and I are kind of always scratching our head figuring out, why are these things so popular? But at the same time, though, like, I get why the nostalgia is popular, but the people who watch those videos over and over and over again are the same ones that drop $2,000 a year on annual pass.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Like,
but no, I totally agree with what you're saying about the whole, like, the things that people are nostalgic for don't exist anymore, or exist in the way that they want them to. And so then they just get angry about it because it's not what they want. It's not made for them.
Well, I don't even say they get mad things. That's the weird thing. Yes, there is a subset of the Disney theme park community who's mad about the fact that, like, everything now is a very specific, like, everything has to be tied into, like, intellectual property. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a problem with that, because that was Walt's thing. Like, Walt's whole thing was the theme park is going to enhance the films. So, like, it's like when Disneyland first opened in the 50s, there was a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea exhibit. Like, they had all the sets, all the props. And the thought was, people who haven't seen the film will go to Disneyland, see the props, and say, I want to see that movie now.
Sure.
I get that. Like, again, it's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. Mm-hmm. The movies enhance the park enhances the movies. Except it's not like that anymore. Like, you don't get a theme park attraction unless your film clears $1 billion.
Yeah, okay.
Because back in the day, it was like sometimes they would roll the dice on these things, and you would get an experience or something kind of outside the norm, and it would become popular, and it would really help kind of boost the popularity of this thing. You'd be like, like, people might not have seen X movie in theaters, but they'll see it like reference at the theme park, then go home and rent it from Blockbuster or buy the videotape or the DVD. And now, if something doesn't reach its threshold opening weekend, it gets buried.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And that's why I keep trying to warn people, like when it comes to Star Wars, it's like all these people are cheering that it's like, yeah, we're showing Disney when Solo bombs. They're going to make the stuff we want now. And it's like, no, folks, when things bomb, Disney walks away from them. If it doesn't make them money, they don't pour more money into it. Disney ain't pouring money into a Terminator 7 after Terminator Dark Fate bombs. They ain't making those sort of decisions. And that's what happens. Like, look at Tron. Like Tron, we get a sequel to Tron like almost 30 years later. It makes money, but it just doesn't make as much money as Disney expected it to. Yeah. And guess what? It dies.
Yep.
And that's why I tell people, it's like that's the sad thing with Disney. Like, you love all these Disney characters, but guess what? Disney doesn't love them back.
Yeah, you make great points. It's like the stuff that gets buried. There's no point in or the stuff doesn't do well success financially. Not a big success in Disney's eyes. It gets thrown off to other things. They're not going to spend all that money on making part of their theme park about it. They can easily ship it off to, like we've been saying with Kingdom Hearts. It's just, oh, hey, this didn't do well, so yeah, put it in a video game. That'll make people look at it. And it's just like, yeah, they always know where to find a place for it, but that's what it is. It's just, oh, you're not working here, we're going to move you around. And they just see them as pieces on the chessboard. They don't care about any of it. They're like chess players. You can sacrifice a few pawns for that Avengers Endgame or a king of an Avengers Endgame to make all that money. That's how they look at it. That's how they're always going to look at it.
Yep. And that's why you have all these weird like sycophants that defend like the Avengers thing. It's like Disney loves these characters. And it's like, folks, the first time one of these movies doesn't make money, they're going to pull the plug. They're not going to dump money in something that doesn't work. And that's the thing is that, I think I've said it before on the podcast, but it bears repeating, is that Fantasia comes out in 1941, the most expensive thing the Walt Disney Company had ever produced before, because of the war, utterly tanks. Like one of those ones where like Walt and Roy sweated bullets for like a year plus, being like, is this what does us in? And then in 1961, 20 years later, Walt is sitting in a meeting and the secretary comes in, hands him a piece of paper, and he starts laughing. Everybody goes, Walt, what are you laughing at? And he goes, how about that? Fantasia's finally in the black. And that's what it was that just because these things don't make money for you doesn't mean they have to be abandoned immediately. Like the same thing happened with Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler. That came out and it bombed. Absolutely bombed. And guess what? That's one of the most, as Rob and I have talked numerous times, that's one of the biggest like annual like festive films for Halloween now is Hocus Pocus. And that's what the shame of this is that they're so short-sighted. Everything's immediate gains. And like, I just don't get it. I get it. Like, money is finite. There's only so much of it. Like, but they have they're flushed with cash. They can take a little extra dollars and pump money into something that doesn't work and be like, okay, we're going to try to give this a second life somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where I go back to.
It's so easy.
But this goes back to, and going back retroactive to Waking Sleeping Beauty. There's a moment in that we didn't discuss when Rescuers Down Under bombed and Jeffrey Katzenberg called the director the Monday morning and said, we're pulling it. And the guy said, what do you mean we're pulling it? No more advertising. He's like, but Jeffrey, it's the first weekend. I don't care. It's a dud. And the guy says in the interview, I broke down, cried. And that's why I mean, Rob says, why are we watching this? This Waking Sleeping Beauty is the ultimate context episode of Cinemoddities. That's where it started, where it didn't make money for us opening weekend. We kill it. And that's where we are. And now look what happened to this Han Solo movie. Think about that. Rescuers Down Under came out in 1988 or whenever it was, or 86. And 30 years later, they're making the exact same decisions. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep telling people is that like Rob's like, why this is like Rob's like, it's a very informational documentary, but it's dry. But no, if you want to understand how this goddamn company operates, they're not doing anything new. They're doing the same things they've always done. And that should scare everybody who loves these characters. If you have an action figure or a toy or a plushie or a poster or an autograph book of any of these characters and you care about them, it's like I always said with Disney like after the first initial 5 minutes of like, oh my God, Disney bought Star Wars, we're getting episode 7. Then the reality set in of, oh no, Disney now owns Star Wars. And again, Disney will kill these properties. It's in their nature. They suck. Not kill them in the sense of like take them out back and shoot them in the head. But they suck the life out of them. Very Dr. Sleep, Woman the Hat, and then they move on.
Isn't there a political cartoon of like there's a cow that's emaciated, like really skinny and sickly looking, and then like Mickey Mouse is walking towards it with like 4 buckets to fill up with milk? And I feel like I've seen that somewhere. Probably. Yeah, but that's exactly what you're describing is, they will bleed this dry, squeeze every penny out of it that they can, and that's all they want. They don't, like we said, they don't care about the characters. They just want to make money. They're company.
But
that's what companies do.
That doesn't bother me. The thing about, though, this is the part that has changed in recent years, is that, like, I think I made the analogy, I forget when it was, but it was the idea that, like, the Avengers in 2012 makes $1.4 billion. Infinitely more than they ever expected. Considering that, like, the highest grossing Marvel film up until that point was like, and by Marvel I mean like MCU, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, sure.
Was like Iron Man 2 at like $660 million. So when that movie, The Avengers, made so much more beyond the projections, they greenlight things like Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
They greenlight question marks, wild cards, figuring, we can throw some things at the wall and see if it'll stick, because once Avengers burns out, we'll have a new cash cow. And that's what happens. It's the circle of life, pardon the Disney pun. But now they don't do that. So when Avengers Endgame makes $2.8 billion, okay, we're going to make a She-Hulk Disney Plus series and a Moon Knight Disney Plus series. And it's like, no, that's not a risk. That's the same thing. Because when Avengers 6 dies, the box office, Moon Knight's going to die and She-Hulk is going to die. None of these things are going to save the company. And that's the problem, is that everything, again, like Disney Animation never makes sequels. Yet this week this weekend we're getting Frozen 2. We're breaking a cardinal rule.
Yeah.
Just so we can sit there, you know what? It's another $1 billion in the coffer.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, and it's kind of like it's said to us, or when I say us, the world, like the outward kind of notion of Disney and movie studios in general. I think that with this trend is, we're diversifying, with Marvel especially. It's like, look at all these characters. But like you just said, it's not really diversifying. It's just doing the same thing with slightly different properties.
Yes.
It's all going to come down like a house of cards if it does, when it does.
Well, that's the weird phenomenon that's happening. But the weird thing is, like, it's kind of waiting for the proverbial rug be pulled out from underneath them. Because for years now, people like Spielberg, Lucas, and more recently Coppola and Scorsese have been saying, like, this stuff is all crap. It's going to collapse on itself eventually. And I remember back in the summer of 2009, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and this is, again, I like Rush Limbaugh. I know a lot of people don't, but whether you like him or not on an ideological level, you can't ignore the fact that he has a profound sense of what's going to go on in the future. I remember in 2009 when Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen was coming out, he had a very unique, observation. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen was the highest gross, up until Avatar, was the highest grossing film of the year, yet it was also the worst reviewed film of the year.
Yeah.
And yet you look at that and figure, everyone goes, oh yeah, but that's Michael Bay garbage. Sure, fine, I'm not going to argue that. But look at this year. The Lion King 2019 comes out, makes $1.6 billion, yet there's not a single person on the face of this earth that will tell you it's their favorite film.
Yeah.
Not a single person that'll tell you that it's better than the original. How does that happen? Where a film makes so much money yet nobody likes it?
I don't know. That just seems like where our culture has gone. That people throw money at things that they hate and love equally.
They throw their money at things they recognize, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe that's Disney's business model going forward, that even if you don't like what we're making, you're going to pay anyway because you recognize it.
It's familiar. It's safe,
Yep.
It's nobody. It's like, it's the same damn thing that always bothers me with people in their music. And I've had multiple people say the words to me, I don't listen to new music because I want to listen to the songs I already know I like. And I have nothing, if you want to do that, if you want to listen to one song on repeat your whole life, that's fine. but don't like be proud of that. You're cutting yourself off to new experiences and new things. Like, you should not be happy about that. If you want to say it makes me feel safe and comfortable, fine, live your life. But don't, you have to realize what you're doing. And that's what I think people don't realize. They're just like, yeah, it's good. No, you've seen this movie 1,000 times. They changed the title and changed the color palette. Why are you paying for it again? Because it's comfortable, because it's familiar. It's weird. It's a very strange dynamic, but that's what people like.
All right, folks, look forward to Cinemoddities' review of the Black Widow movie coming May 2020.
Oh God, I don't know if I could ever do anything comic book related again, unless it's The Crow. No. We'll do The Crow.
No more comic book movies. I'm trying to think, like, all the comic book movies coming out. I genuinely cannot think of a single comic book movie from any. I'm not just talking about Marvel, but from anybody that I want to genuinely see.
Oh yeah, nothing comes to mind. I'd rather just see the comic or read the comic.
Or even as like a morbid curiosity. Like, let's say somebody said like, oh, like, how would you like to see, like, Rob remembers back in the day, I used to have like an encyclopedic knowledge of everything that was coming out. Remember that? Like during the summer, like, what was that? One summer you came back, what was it like? Oh God, we saw the Elysium summer, the 2013 summer.
Okay, sure.
I remember like talking to you and your dad, and I had like an encyclopedic knowledge of like everything that was happening, like in Marvel and DC. And nowadays, I couldn't even give you a fraction of that. It's just like,
it's.
I don't
remember. I think we're talking about the same time frame, but I remember there was one time we were either going into the movie theater or we were leaving the movie theater, and you were giving me the whole spiel about how they were going to make a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and you're telling me about Rocket Raccoon and Groot and, the Tree Man, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, when's it coming out? And you're like, I don't know, like 4 years from now. And I'm like, oh, well, remind me in 4 years then.
That's what I mean, though. It's like, I used to be so on top of all this stuff, and it's just, they burned me out. Like, it's just, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't think Rob was really privy to this, but like in 2010, like when Iron Man 2 came out, and like when I was finally getting the first taste of like, oh crap, like this Avengers thing's finally happening, you could not have met someone that was more on the hype train for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Captain America: The First Avenger came out, like that, to this day, I still think that's like my favorite comic book movie of all time. But like, I was so beyond hyped for that. You couldn't have found a better, like, oh God, someone that would sit there and like evangelize about Marvel and Disney and what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like I remember like explaining to like cousin or friend after Captain America: The First Avenger being like, they're like, what were they advertising at the end? I'm like, it's the Avengers. It's the greatest thing that's good. Like nothing has ever been done like this before in film, where you have like 5 movies set up for this crossover. I'm like, this is like, it's groundbreaking. Like you have all these like different like personalities and tones from different movies collide.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward like 8 years later, and it's the highest grossing film of all time, and it literally means nothing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It means nothing because it's ubiquitous and it's been homogenized. And it's like, there you go. And the problem is that we don't even have like the slightly new stuff anymore to later be homogenized. We just have the homogenization.
Yeah, and it's a bummer. It's a big bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, movies are horrible.
I guess it's been, what did I say? It was a bad week for movies, and then it was a bad month for movies. It's been a bad few years for movies.
You know what the sad thing is? I don't even blame Disney. I blame everybody else. I blame everybody else for following their example. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like that's why it's like I don't want Disney to fail at like some misguided like sense of vengeance or vindictiveness or malevolence. I want them to fail so everybody realizes that they're not infallible.
Sure.
Like it's kind of like it's the oh God, the cup of cold water to the face.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's what everybody needs, not just the studios, but like audiences. They have to learn these movies. They're not bad. They're just fine. Like as much as I hate Dr. Sleep, at least I felt something. I felt utter hatred, but I felt something.
There was some sense of catharsis. Yes.
Well, not even that though. But like I felt alive. It's kind of like I love it from. I don't really love it, but it's kind of the most broad examples. Like I think it's an episode of South Park where Butters falls in love with one of like the Hooters girls, and she breaks up with him, and he's like crying. He's talking to Stan about it, and he's like, it's like I think it's with the goth kids. The goth kids like, so don't you want to like revel in your toil and toil in your misery? And he's like, no, I kind of like the fact that like something makes me feel so bad because that means there's something equally as good out there.
No thanks. I love life. Huh? But you just got dumped. Well, yeah, and I'm sad. But at the same time, I'm really happy that something can make me feel that sad. It's like, it makes me feel alive, you know? It makes me feel human. The only way I can feel this sad now is if I felt something really good before. So I have to take the bad with the good. So I guess what I'm feeling is like a beautiful sadness. I guess that sounds stupid.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. Like, for the same reason why, like, for every, like, Dr. Sleep, which is an abomination, we have, like, a Vox Lux. Or something that's like the opposite side, where even though I don't think Vox Lux is great, at least it's provocative and it's something different.
Yeah.
But the worst thing...
That was, if for all our dedicated fans, that was my second thing I was thankful for this Thanksgiving. Bad media, because it makes the good media better.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of what it comes down to. But, like, you have Ant-Man the Wasp. That's nothing.
Yeah,
it's the, like, milk toast of cinema. There's literally nothing to it. It's wafer thin. It can't even get you fat because there's nothing to it.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down for 2 hours.
I saw that, and I couldn't tell you anything about it other than Lawrence Fishburne is in it.
Lawrence Fishburne does something.
Yes. Yeah.
Characters do stuff. Costumes that look like every other costume you've seen that year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's familiar. It's safe.
Fuck movies.
Get in the car. Get in the van.
That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna walk into, like, movie theaters, and there's gonna be a guy with a gun. Like, you're gonna buy a ticket. Kind of have to buy a ticket for okay, what's a movie that came out that's not like a property? Oh God, what's the last movie that wasn't Midway? I saw Midway.
Oh, sure.
It's like hi, like a ticket for Midway. Okay, that'll be $75. Okay. You walk in, you're about to walk into your Midway showing. There's a guy, like, outside the Avengers Endgame showing with a gun being like, get in. But I bought a ticket for Midway. I said, get in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you walk in like, okay, enjoy your stay. What? And that's what it is. And that's essentially what's happening now. Except people are willingly going into the theater.
Yeah.
And they cheer on the guy with the gun.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like it, no. All right, Rob. Cinema. Okay. I think obviously. Well, let's do late night first. I'm sorry. We'll do snacks first. Obviously,
sure.
I did all mine. Do you have any snacks for this that we did not mention?
I think I already mentioned my snack, some type of downer, because this was too happy for me. Very, very gleeful, as Zack said in his notes. But the other thing I was thinking from this, what if we had a video like this for the Cinemoddities restaurant? Maybe not different musical numbers, but maybe just kind of like an infomercial for the Cinemoddities restaurant. But here's the kicker, Zack. Only available on VHS. We only sell it as a VHS tape.
Yep, I can do it. I can dig it.
We're going to have to work out what we're going to include in this video. But, a good 30-minute video just showing off a bunch of features of the Cinemoddities restaurant. There could be like a good 3 minutes on the caviar glory hole. There could be a good 3 minutes on the car wash where we do all our dishes. I think that'd be great. We'd have our we integrated Main Street we were talking about earlier. We could have that whole thing showing off, Orson Welles' Deadite, and be like, this is where most of our budget for wine goes and stuff like that. Yeah, I was thinking, like, let's get some Cinemoddities advertisement out there, because right now I think the only advertisement we have is, I don't know, people filing missing persons reports and saying that this was the last place they were seen.
Didn't we have advertising from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch would hire a truck or a van to go around like playing the jingle of the restaurant or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it was telling everybody to tune in at a certain time in Halloween 3. Yes. Yeah, I think we have that. So we'll get the man. We have that. That's our man on the street advertisement. And now we'll have our home video advertisement with this VHS tape.
Yep. You know what, folks? When he was saying all this, my last note I had for the Cinemoddities for the Making Memories was voyeurism. Cinemoddities have its own version of official voyeurism.
Okay, perfect.
Remember, it's not creepy if it's official.
I'm just imagining getting like B-rolls of customers in the restaurant and like using them for a video like that, like going through the editing bay and being like, can't use that one, someone's throwing up. Can't use that one, someone's bleeding. Can't use that one, he gets kicked in the nuts. No, okay, we probably could use that one.
Can't use that one, the police have it as evidence.
Yes. Oh, that's great. No releases for anybody. It's part of the terms and service that they sign at the start.
At the kiosk, on the kiosk at the very beginning. Yeah,
we could use their likeness like forever.
Speaking of going back to Disney, I just read this in the last couple days. Actually, when you buy a ticket to Disney, when you buy a ticket, by handing over your money, you're signing like 100 pages of like terms of service, and one of them is they can use your likeness in any promotional footage without any sort of restitution.
Jeez.
So you can, in all honesty, they can make another Disneyland Fun right now, prominently feature you, and they can do it, and you have no legal recourse.
Man, that's crazy.
That's insane. The fact that nobody has it, like if this was any other company that was doing this, the backlash would be insane.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that it's Disney, they hide behind that, and it's like, wake up, sheeple. Wake up, Danielle. That's what America is. America is Danielle. The world is Danielle. And they're hypnotized by the goddamn Disney attraction.
Yes. Oh, that's great. I love that analogy. Snap out of it, Danielle. Cut the shit. Get moving. Do something.
Folks, I want you, anytime you go to the movies and there's a Marvel movie playing or a Disney movie or anything and people are walking into it, I want you to scream at the people walking into the theater, cut the shit and snap out of it, Danielle.
Yeah, I have like, I don't think I said this before, but my notes is like 5 lines of all caps text of me screaming about Danielle, and that's the first one. Is cut the shit and snap out of it. Danielle.
Yep. That's what I want you. That's gonna be the new Cinemoddities rallying cry. Knights of Vader has Remember Alderaan. Cinemoddities would be cut the shit and snap out of it, Danielle. We're gonna put that on t-shirts.
Oh, that's great.
Oh God. All right, Rob. Any other snacks?
No, that was all I had for this one. I was with how short it was, and I was getting into the nonsense of some of the background stuff. That was all I had. Very happy. Very happy video we watched.
One thing I do want, this is kind of like half joke, half real. I would love an Insperiority Complex's cover of all the songs on this VHS tape. I would love it. Just put it out there, kind of like half joke, half real. It's kind of like, will he take the bait? Will he not? And they don't have to be real, like full covers of like the whole song. Like it can be like the 30-second abridged version. But I want it.
That might be the only way to get Jeremy to do anything with this. If it's like, okay, Jeremy, listen, Disney. His immediate response is no, and I'm like, wait, 20 seconds each, and he's like, how many songs? And I'm like, well, let's take it one step at a time, man. Okay.
I would love the Inspirited Complex version of zip, Zip-a-dee-doo-dah. Love it. Would absolutely love it.
That's Zack and I have looked into it before with actors and stuff, but I know I've looked into it for music. Like if you want to hire a band for like a private event or something, you're looking, depending on the band, of course, but you're looking at like $15,000 to like $45,000 type of thing. And it's like when Zack is rich and famous, hit us up with a commission like that.
There we go. All right. Okay. So wildest dreams, in other words. Good.
Yeah. I don't think that's anywhere in the pipeline.
I want step in time. Never got a reason. Never need a rhyme.
Maybe that's how I sell it to Jeremy. I say, okay, Jeremy,
fascism.
We're doing wartime propaganda, the album, and then I'm gonna just give him the lyrics and stuff, and then eventually he'll be like, isn't this a Disney song?
No.
And I'm like, we'll talk about it when we're done.
Oh God. All right. Cinemoddity and or late night movie, Rob.
So Cinemoddities, I'm gonna go with no. I think this is just an elongated commercial with hooks for children. It's something that the kid watches it and goes, just like we were talking about, hey, I want to go there, I want to see that, blah, blah, blah. It's a big infomercial. So no to Cinemoddities because just an infomercial. Late night though, fuck yes, I want to put this on late night. No one would expect it. It's the perfect thing because I'm always saying, like, I want some reaction from people. I want, some discussion. This movie has it built in. You play this late at night and you start singing with the other people. It's great. So yes, no to Cinemoddities, yes to late night, 100%.
Oh no, Rob, we're split.
Oh God.
Absolutely Cinemoddity. Just for the snapshot in time, the weird, goofy stuff in this video, whether it be the voyeurism, the fascism tendency of the lyrics of some of the songs, wake up again, cut the shit, Danielle, snap out of it. Absolutely Cinemoddity. Yes. For all the reasons. Late night movie, no, because I can't. This is a very peppy video, like you said. It's way too much of a bubbly, bouncy. I think it's late night. It takes away from that kind of like slow down nature.
Sure, yeah, something.
It's way too peppy for a late night movie.
Yeah, this might give you some energy before you go to bed, and you might not want that.
You don't want that. So I'm going to say yes to Cinemoddities, no to late night movie.
Okay, I'm going to start throwing this on randomly late at night, see what people think.
I look forward to it. I'd love to hear the reports back, and maybe I'm wrong.
And I'm going to start it. They're going to go, what is this? I'm going to go, cut the shit, Danielle. Just sit here and watch it.
Oh, boy. God damn it. Remember, folks, I want you all to know that when we first started recording this, or beforehand, Rob and I said, okay, it's going to be another short episode like last week's episode. As we clock in at 3 hours and 10 minutes. Who would have thought the Disneyland Fun episode would be a top 5 longest episode? Who ever predicted that?
And to fill in the remaining 2 hours we want to go through, let's turn it over to Zack for The Shining Corner. What do we got to say about The Shining this week? Oh, that's too funny.
Boy. All right, Rob. So I imagine we're going to have some reverse medley for the closeout of this, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I know you took the reverse music last week. Are you taking it this whole series, or are you...
I think you'll be better at a medley. You'll have a better ear for medley.
I could do a mashup type of thing, for sure. Okay, I like that. Right on.
Okay. Alrighty, folks. Until next week when we talk about another Disney thing that's going to make everybody feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
Song of the South.
And we're canceled.
Thank you.